Tina, can you hear us?
I can, thank you.
All right, that was who I was looking for.
I know, and they're probably like, why did we hire her? It's the little things in life.
Oh, I know. Who's your gavel?
I see, yep. Okay. We have everybody that's gonna be here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, everyone's here. Christina's online. Everyone else is in the room.
Yep, all right.
Nicole Marie, you're going to share your screen?
Sure.
Okay. So she'll be running the graphics.
All right. All right, I suppose we can get it all to order. Or do you open this one or do I open this one?
You can. It's your meeting. It looks like we have a quorum. And
Yep.
there's the agenda. She's got it up there now.
Okay.
That must mean she's about ready. Thumbs up.
I get the gavel this time. All right, welcome everybody to the first of the CIP budget meetings. We'll call the meeting to order. It is 6:03. Do a roll call. Nicole Marie, are you gonna run the roll call for it, or?
I can. We haven't usually done a roll call. We just kind of look around and notice we have a quorum.
Yep, everybody is here that's going to be here, so, yep, we are here. We are certified and compliant with the open meetings laws, and we will go with an election of a chair for the CIP meetings. Are there any nominations for a chair?
I think. Go ahead.
I nominate Brett.
All right, nomination and a second. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I will chair the CIP meetings. All right, in the event I can't make it, I need a vice chair. Are there any nominations for a vice chair of the meetings?
I nominate Adrian.
Second.
All right, nomination and a second. Adrian, is that, you're good?
What does that entail?
If I am not here, you run the meeting.
And plus the 50,000 extra hours.
Yes, yes, yeah, exactly. There's homework. Perfect. All right, any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
And are any opposed? Okay, Adrian will serve as vice chair for the CIP meetings. All right, first order that we have for this group this time is to approve the minutes from the August 21st of 2025 minutes. Does everybody remember that vividly? Mm-hmm.
So moved.
All right, motion by Jonathan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Patrick. Anybody want any last minute edits that they remember something differently or?
As long as we speak
Perfect. All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, minutes from that meeting are accepted. Okay, Nicole Marie.
I'll do a quick one.
Oh, all
I'll
right,
just go
perfect.
quick. So the committee of the whole, as you figured out by now, is chaired by the council president. My vote does count at committee of the whole for recommendations, just so you know, Nicole Marie. And basically, the process is we scheduled the meetings, and Nicole Marie and I have been meeting with staff. She meets typically with them, what is it, quarterly you meet with them, or?
Yep.
And then this last quarter, I met with as many of them as I was available to attend. And we kind of go through the year-to-date numbers and see if we're in the ballpark. And then basically a line by line on the CIP and the operations. And then we use that information to help formulate the CIP and the operations for the 2027 budget, which ultimately is my budget to submit. The council, once they get a recommendation, they can always make amendments if they so choose. Typically on the CIP, the amendments are a little easier because you're borrowing the money, whereas on the operations, if you make an amendment, chances are you're going to have to make a reduction in another area to make up for it. So that's really the tricky part. What we do is we ask for submittals from each of the department heads of what they feel their needs are going to be. Obviously, tonight we're focusing on the CIP. We have the group that was available to meet tonight here. They're going to walk through their requests, and basically it's a 5-year plan, and you'll hear some of the method to the madness as we go through it. And then feel free to ask any questions as far as, the whys or the what ifs or whatever as we try to put this thing together. But I think for the most part, at least initially, we're within the ballpark. We had Ellers, and Nicole Marie can explain this a little deeper, but we had them kind of put together a 5-year plan to make sure we have some consistency, especially as we borrow, so we don't drive up our mill rate. And then the other thing is for our state transportation aid, they take a 6-year average, which you'll hear a little bit more about. So it's really important for us to have some consistency as far as the amount of money that we're borrowing from year to year for those reasons, and probably some others. Anything I'm missing?
No, I'll give my overview if we're ready.
Yep.
All
Any
right.
questions for me? Any questions for me before we get started? Otherwise, I'm kind of like you guys. I'm just kind of going to go through and take some notes, and if there's some things that don't seem like a high priority, certainly the feedback would be helpful to me as we go through this process. But we ask them, the department heads, to submit what they really feel that they need, and I think they do a pretty good job doing that. Obviously, sometimes the needs are in the eye of the beholder, so other times things are just coming to the end of their useful life, and we do need to definitely replace some things as they're getting old, and you'll hear a little bit about some of the new technology and the why. So without further ado, go ahead, Nicole Marie.
All right. Well, thank you. Bear in mind, this is like my first time running this show, so if I misspeak, I apologize right off the bat, but I will do my best to present the capital improvement budget and the process as we've done it this year. So just for a timeline, we'll give a SIP overview here. Then tonight, library, city clerk, planning, and public works, including parks and recreation, facilities, equipment, and road construction will be going. Next week on Thursday, the Opera House, IT media, police, EMS, fire, and then we'll kind of finalize the SIP. So what has kind of taken place in the past is we don't have, the committee typically doesn't have a lot of discussion on the first night. They usually save that discussion for the second night when they hear the rest of it, but feel free to change up however you all feel you want to proceed with the finalizing the CIP this year. If needed, then we have the August 27th meeting, and then the final budget will go to council on November 10th. Between August 27th and November 10th, sometimes a lot of changes get made, and we try to present those on the 10th, if not sooner, when the mayor presents his budget. Most of those changes tend to be, we got a new quote, it was higher or lower than what we had before, or this project's not feasible to happen next year, we need to push it off further down the road, or something immediate comes up and we need to do it sooner, things like that. So that's kind of the outline of the process. So tonight, like I said, we'll provide an overview of the CIP, the money available, and the overall impact. Leadership will present their budgets, and then you all will make the final determination to keep, postpone, or eliminate any projects. This year, we used Microsoft Forms for the department heads to submit their budget requests. And so with that, it was an online submittal rather than just doing an Excel spreadsheet that had very little justification or information behind the background behind the ask. And so as part of the packet, there's also the department request forms, which is kind of a snapshot of what that Microsoft form looked like. Presents the dollar amounts, presents the justification for the project that they had, and any additional information that they supplied. We also asked them to get 3 quotes for any of their projects. So with this, this is the first time that we've kind of asked for that information up front rather than relying on an estimate and getting the information kind of on the back end. So we hope that this CIP is very dialed in, so we don't have to make a lot of adjustments as we go to debt issue next summer, or that we have a lot of sudden things we didn't realize by asking for all that information up front. So a little bit different process for the department heads this year. This is the departmental summary for each of the departments. So our total CIP right now with any of the changes, we're on version 2, which is also a record. I think we've never been on such a low number so far. Usually we're up by 9 by the end of the CIP committee meetings, so version 2 is really great. But this just presents by department what their total ask is, including any revenues or offsets for any revenue from selling equipment or any state grants or something like that that is in there. So the total bottom line number is 10.316 million. And so we see our CIPs between 10 to 12 million. So at 10.3, we're in a good spot right now with what the requests are. And then again, here's the CIP funding broken down by what's going to be debt issues, what are impact fees, what are our revenues, and so you can kind of see what the breakdown of everything is that way. Again, like a mayor mentioned, we kind of did a 5-year plan with Ellers, kind of projecting what the debt issue might be over the next 5 years, and so this is kind of in line with what we had anticipated already, being in that 10 to 12 kind of range. So no, except for 2031. 5 years out, we kind of don't really know what's happening, so that one drops off quite a bit, but we do ask our department heads to do their best to kind of forecast what borrowing and planning for projects out that far might be. So again, our target recommendation is 10 to 12 million for the CIP, including 6 to 8 million for streets improvement projects. Right now, with the total public works funding for streets projects, we're at 5.9 million, so we're just underneath that target, but doing okay there. Funding lower than that, like the mayor mentioned, impacts our general transportation aids, and so we saw a big drop off this year in what that funding is based on the past 6 years 6 year average of our general transportation aid, what qualifies for that, and that was because the public works building fell off of that 6 years, so that was back in 2018, and so we had a big reduction in what revenue we get for general transportation aids. With the targets that we have, if we maintain that funding level, we expect that we would return to our previous general transportation aid level by 2030. So with the recommendation that we have in there, we'll return to that level of revenue in a few years. But we're realizing that gap right now. And with that, that is the end of my spiel, and we'll get into the departments. Any questions for me before we start for the departments? Yeah.
Where does the GTA funding come from?
From the state. Yep, so it's from the DOT. They have a formulation for like what we have to submit from our state report that we submit annually, what line items go into the calculation, and then they have a pot of money that gets divvied out annually based on that.
And their
I can't hear you, Jonathan.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And their criteria is spending 6 million in order to get that funding?
It's more our criteria to spend that.
Okay.
Because we're trying to maintain what that number has been for that funding level. And so it's not so much a spending criteria that comes from the state. It's kind of more where we've been at spending levels. If we all of a sudden drop further below, we'll jeopardize how much of that funding we'll get. Versus if we all of a sudden spend a lot more, that goes into that 6-year average and
Is
kind
it-
of creates more.
Is it a match, or what is it, Brett?
No, it's just
Brett,
an
maybe you can explain
aid,
better.
sorry, it's just an aid that we do get back from the state. And I do have a slide that speaks to that and shows our track record over time to see that the dividends that we do get back from the money that we invest in our roadways. So it's the first time I've seen that number of 6 to 8 million, so that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
You can spend as much as you want. There's a lot of need out there, so it
Coming
is
from
helpful.
the,
Yeah, it is
Public
helpful to see that, and it truly does pay dividends to invest in our roadways and in other public works infrastructure.
yeah. And we know that the price is just gonna go up anyway, and you'll see as you go through, you know, he's partnering with Stoughton Utilities as well to try to minimize and then utilize stormwater funds as well.
All right. Any other questions? So with that, we'll go into the library. They are up first.
Oh, he drew the,
He did.
awesome.
Before you begin, Jim, this is a good opportunity for council to thank the department heads for putting the budget together, and especially for Nicole Marie for funneling all this information together and getting it into a report format. So thank you for the things that you all do.
Nicole Marie, do you have my slides? I only have a
She's
few.
getting there.
Oh,
Thanks for bearing with me.
all right. So the library, as usual, we don't have a ton of CIP requests, but we do have 2 for 2027. And they are, the first one is, you can go to the next slide. So is a copier, scanner, printer for the library's first floor. This is heavily used by staff and by the public. It does generate a little bit of revenue for the library, not a ton, but a little bit for the public use of it. Late last year, we were informed by the company that services the machine that it is past its useful life, and they are no longer going to service it because they claim they can't get parts for it. And then right on cue, earlier this year, it started to fail. It's now printing in these black streaks on everything. So a lot of our flyers are kind of sad looking right now. So the machine's now over 10 years old, so they're no longer servicing it. It's the cost to repair it would be a lot more, so we're looking to replace it. We're actually going to lease the machine, I think, for this year, and then buy it outright in 2027 with money from the CIP. So
Is this, these machines, do you pick them out, or does this go through the library system, or?
no, we deal directly with Gordon Flesh
Okay.
for our copiers.
And you're working with our IT department as well?
They actually don't have, since we're not on the city's network,
Okay.
we're on the Teach BadgerNet network, and our network is administered by our library consortium, the South Central Library System. So they'll handle all of the setting it up and getting it on the network and everything.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions about that one?
Does any staff want to have some Gestalt therapy on this
Oh,
copier?
to the office space style? Maybe, we'll see.
Okay.
It depends how long it goes on until we can get the new one. We're hoping to get the new one within a couple weeks. Like I
Alright.
said, leasing it and then buying it.
It is cheaper than therapy, so.
Do you, for your equipment in general, do you have a depreciation schedule, or you just run it till it doesn't?
We run it to, that's a good question. We have, for our computers and our PCs and laptops, we do have a schedule. And what Tim alluded to just a second ago, we go through South Central Library System to purchase those, and we get the state rate for them. So we get a pretty good deal. For our peripherals, we don't have a set depreciation schedule, although the other copier scanner that we purchased in 2019, that one is on my mind, as we move forward into the coming years, and hopefully we won't be caught flat-footed like we were this. They only gave us, I think somebody dropped the ball, frankly, because they only gave us like 2 months notice that they were ending the service contract, and they apologized for that, but they said, this is, the machine is over 10 years old, we can't get parts for it anymore. So to answer your question, yes, we do have depreciation schedule for most of our computers. For some of the peripherals, no, we don't have a strict depreciation schedule. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
one of the things that we do is, a lot of times, once the budget's actually passed, they'll work on cutting POs even before the first of the year to lock in the price and to get into the queue so we can get it processed quicker. I know Brett especially, and Tony, there's usually a lot of cost savings in Park and Rec. I don't know if that'll be the case on your piece of machinery.
It might. I have been talking to them about like the fact that we would be leasing it for, I guess at this point it would only be about 4 months or so, that they might give us a little break on it. So it may come in under.
That's the least they can do for giving you a 2-month notice.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right, any other questions on that one? All right, the other one I have, this one's been on the CIP for a few years, always for 2027. It's a little bit bigger one, and that's a space needs study to be completed by an architectural firm to determine how the library might expand in the future. We love our location downtown. We love our historic Carnegie Library. The library was dedicated in 1908, the original building, and an addition was put on in 1990, which brought us up to 16,000 square feet. The last, as you see there on the slide, the last space needs study was done in 2007. I have it here. It determined that in the space needs calculations for 2007, it determined that our space needs were 30,855 square feet. We had a preliminary space needs assessment done by a consultant from our library consortium, the South Central Library System, and she looked at, as you know, we love our downtown location, but we're hemmed in, on almost all sides. Which the consultant looked at what we've discussed informally for years, what would it look like if the library expanded to the south? You can go to the next slide. So it's kind of hard to see from here, but that image on the right there is that in the blue, that envisions what would happen if the library expanded to the south, over the alley, because it's probably not possible to block the alley, and then into the current parking lot, and then possibly acquiring properties on Jefferson Street for a new parking lot. Space-wise, we are kind of at the bottom of the list in terms of peer libraries. You can see there libraries from in Dane County, but also from around the state, and their service populations and their square footage, and we've always been pretty low. There's a graphic actually on the next slide. it's too big, but if you scroll down, yeah, so that green line down there, that's us. This is the ratio of service population to square footage, and that's us down there toward the bottom. There's actually a couple libraries that are underneath us that have since moved up because they built new, or they added on or built new libraries. One is New Glarus and the other is Sun Prairie. So, you know, we're out of space, frankly. You know, space for studying, meeting rooms, library collections, programs, especially programs, storage, and staff. And the most recent addition to the library was completed over 35 years ago. We love our downtown location. We want to stay where we are, but we want to know what our options are. And a space needs study can tell us that. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have. Anybody have any questions?
So does the study assume that the space expansion will happen only on that site, or does it also look at like secondary remote sites or supplemental space elsewhere?
It's going to look at, ideally, when we put out the RFP, we're going to ask for, we want to know all our options.
Okay.
Yeah, so not just the expansion that we envisioned in this space needs assessment, but any sort of expansion, relocation, remodel. I should add that when this study was done in 2007, of course, it didn't result in any expansion of the building, certainly not to 30,000 square feet, but it did result in the significant remodel and refresh of the library's second floor that happened in 2015.
And what's the turnaround time on a study like that?
From what I understand, I mean, I know public safety had one done.
Anticipate about a year.
About a year, yeah. I was going to say 6 months to a year. Yeah.
When you do the study like that, it's also, you're looking at the space that is needed, but does it also include like costs, for moving costs for that?
Yes, yeah, we
and
would
build-out
ask
costs?
for that, we would ask for that to be included in the,
Is it also possible to build up, not just out?
that's another possibility that's been floated. I don't know if that is architecturally or engineering, or feasible from an engineering standpoint. The other thing about when adding a floor, well, adding any space, but especially adding another floor, is staffing. You know, because you need somebody to staff that extra space. I mean, that's true regardless of how you expand. But we already have, as it is, we have 4 levels, you know, including the basement, the lower level. We have the first floor. We have what we call the mezzanine, which is the old part of the original Carnegie Library, and then we have the second floor. So it's possible. And all options are on the table, I would say. You know, we want to know, yeah, what our options are. Specifically, would it even be feasible to expand to the south and go, you know, over the alley?
Yeah, I think the issue, there's a lot of utilities there.
Yeah.
Up on top?
Yeah. Or, yeah, overhead, there's,
Right,
Why?
can they just get moved up to the next?
We just put a new roof on, there's solar going on.
Mhm.
But I know this is not happening tomorrow either.
No, this would be, you know, as far as, you know, when any potential expansion would happen, you know, that's anybody's guess. That depends on a lot of different factors. It depends on, you know, what other plans, what plans the city has for its other facilities. You know, but we're at the point where we want to seriously look at our options. And, you know, it's been 20 years since we've had a space needs study done, so we.
Yeah, and I think Jim's point about being downtown is pretty vital. I mean, it's definitely a draw, and then especially for people that have transportation challenges, being downtown is really helpful.
Yeah, I would highly encourage us staying downtown. One, it's a historical, unique building, and two, I just see people walk to the library all the time. If you're on the outskirts of town,
Absolutely.
I think your usage would probably drop, especially
Yeah.
with school kids.
No, I agree with that assessment, and that's what we're hearing. We're doing strategic planning this year too, so we're going to be putting out a survey to the public, asking them questions about, you know, what should the library do in the next 4 to 5 years? What's the roadmap? And one of the questions we'll ask will be about space and location. And what we heard when we did the last survey back in 2018 was people love the downtown location. We've already done a survey of our library board and our library staff, and the support for remaining where we are is you know, huge. So yeah.
On these studies, you know, they expose, you know, the opportunities and options that you may have, but also put a cost to it, just like you were mentioning. And I know, you know, is it Ellers or a consultant, maybe looking at a long-term, you know, capital program more than 5 years out. to start
Finance
planning for it.
management.
So as part of Finance's operating request, we're putting together a request for Ellers to do a financial management plan, which would be a 5 to 10-year plan on both the operating and the capital plans. So we can do strategic planning around just, we have building renovations coming up. Do we have a brand new building coming up? And trying to fit that debt issue into our existing debt plans, as well as operationally, if we have additional staffing needs or whatnot, that all of that kind of comes into a plan that we can work with in going forward. So we have that as part of Finance's operating budget request, and the quote they gave us was $20,000 to that. So because it's something that's ongoing, it wouldn't be something that's a one-time thing. That first initial cost is high for the first year, and then it kind of trails off, but it's recommended that you upkeep your financial management plan at least every 1 to 2 years. So it'd be something that Finance would have ongoing as part of their budget request in the operating budget, not in the capital budget.
So this is probably timely to do something like this, if this is something you so choose.
Jim, with the new consulting person, if you decide on that, would they utilize the 2007 study, or would you have them just start fresh?
We'd have them look at it, certainly. I'd have them look at the preliminary, we call it a space needs assessment that our consultant did. And that's actually, I should add, that was done by South Central Library System at no additional charge for us. It's one of the benefits that our membership and our library consortium brings, is we have access to these consultants, and one of them is a space needs consultant. So we would have them look at that. They'd probably look at the 2007 report. Coincidentally, or not coincidentally, but just as a point, the square footage that they estimated back in 2007, ideally they said be around 30,000 square feet. That's a similar, our space needs assessment that we had done late last year, early this year, came up with a pretty similar figure. If we were to expand to the south, 32,000 square feet. So it would roughly double the size of the existing building. But yeah, the point of this, of a study like this, is to just to start the conversation and look at our options. Anybody have any other questions? Thank you. That's all I have.
When I get there, we're going to hear from the clerk's department next.
Thank you. Okay, this one is hopefully short and sweet. What I have here is basically a requirement from the Dane County Clerk's Office to replace all of our tabulators in 2027. So I was originally planning on just half of those machines, but they have now come to the decision that they would like all of the county tabulators replaced in 1 year, so everybody is underneath the same warranty and maintenance schedule. So in order to do that, they are proposing that they will pay 70% of the cost, and we are responsible for 20%, or 30%, excuse me. There's a chance they may, through their budget process, approve 80%, and then we would cover the 20%. So all machines would be replaced in 2027. Again, this is just keeping the equipment new. Our oldest machines, our 4 oldest machines were purchased in 2013, and we are noticing hiccups with those machines very quickly. Actually, this week, throughout the county, we were noticing that. We're kind of at the max of what we can do with those machines. So basically, we'll be replacing 8 of the units are from 2013. We'll be improving the security and accessibility, maintaining the state compliance, as well as leveraging that county funding. So I put on here what it would have initially cost for us to replace those machines if it was all the city responsibility, and now what it will be just by sharing that cost with the county. So any questions?
Candy, what happens to the old machines when they're retired?
So they are, this price that you have, they are giving us, or the county is getting a credit of $250 per DS200 and $150 for the express votes. What they're doing, I don't know if they're destroyed or if they're refurbished. We've not been told that. Also, part of the county purchasing the largest portion of the machines, they will be requiring us to house them in their new building. How that's going to work as far as us retrieving those machines for elections, I mean, we're all in conversation, how is that going to look for us? But that will be part of it. We will for sure have to keep all the equipment, that equipment, not our Badger books, but just our tabulators with the county in their new secure building when that's ready.
Maybe county staff will be in a rage room with all of those machines too, so we'll see.
I don't know. We haven't figured out the logistics as far as getting, when
They
we do our
purchased the
public test.
brewery to store the machines, so I don't know what that means.
That's, yeah, it's a bunch of clerks.
The annual maintenance that you have, is that reflected in the CIP budget, or does that come out of the operating budget?
That just comes out of the operating. That's just to let you know what those machines, they are. That will be our expense to maintain those. We're not sure of the insurance cost of it yet either, if the county's absorbing all of that, or right now we have it underneath our policy, but I have to find that part out too, but that's an operating expense.
Did they say why they want them all stored centrally? Is it for maintenance purposes? or-
Security, they know all the machines, since they own the largest portion of those machines. They'll be, you'll have to have a badge to get into the building, into the parking lot even, so they really want control of the machines for security purposes. All maintenance will be done there, so we'll go and be part of our district's machines for maintenance, but it will be conducted there instead of at area facilities.
Another question, this is more of a hypothetical. Just given Stoughton's expansion, do you foresee any need for new polling places and thus new machines in the next 5 years?
The tabulators, this replacement will be fine for a while. Our Badger books, they have not given us, and those are the electronic poll books, they've not given us what their lifespan is. As far as polling places, that's I mean, there's a lot of change that would take place. If we added a polling location, is that going to be, are we adding alders then to cover that? Because we just have it split by the 4.
Okay.
District 4 right now is my highest populated district, and I'm getting to the point where do we need to start moving people from District 4, change the lines? But there's an official process for that I have not begun that one yet, so we're not at the max. We're hovering.
Yeah, typically, I think that's done during the census, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that would be in 2030-ish.
Yeah. I think that the top population is like 3,000 per district, so we're at, where we at with, District 4 was at 2,407. That's the registered voters right now, so.
And part of the issue, though, is the polling places we have been really good over the years, but, some of the buildings are aging as well, and I know that's a challenge for you, and really even having, for security reasons and things like that, we've been doing some things the last few years to try to, make people more comfortable while they're working the polls.
Yeah, the accessibility is noticeably, it's getting a little more difficult for some people, so.
And was that 2020, 21 that we did the last shuffle around a little
Yes.
bit of?
Yes.
That's it?
Okay,
Oh.
thank you.
All right.
Next up, we'll hear from planning. I just exited out of the meeting. Darn it, anyways.
Now you can see why I wanted you to run the graphics.
I'm totally fine running it, just bear with me.
Well, you know
one
where they
second.
all are. I was going to be fumbling through trying to figure out where you put everything, so thanks for doing that.
Absolutely. I'm cheating and using the SharePoint, not the Civic Plus, so I
Okay.
am cheating a little bit.
All right.
Go ahead to the next slide. So this is for City Hall, and we're talking about building renovations. Brett, if you want to jump in anytime, if I, because he's the building dude, so, I'll have him jump in. So the building was originally constructed in 1960, and there was an addition done in 1977. Small renovations were done in 2001, and then the city actually took over the building in 2019. And we have, if you look at the top one is one of the original sketches, and the bottom one is from the 1977 add-on. So essentially, there's been 3 studies done since we've taken over the building. Candy actually had one done in 2023 for security purposes with voting. We had in 2025, we had an overall assessment of buildings in the city done. That was done by Brett, and you guys probably saw the presentation on that, showing like lifespans of buildings that are within the city, city buildings. And then we had 2025, we had Strand and Associates look at the improvements that were needed for the building. And that was a more detailed focused on the building. So go to the next slide. So essentially what Strand did is they came in and they walked the building looking at what was there. They had like electrical engineers and whatnot walking through the building, taking pictures. And then their goal was to give a guideline for what we would need to do to look at adding space and then bringing the building essentially up to code, using those previous studies too, as we talked about. So
Yeah. We also kind of looked at maybe adding an elevator.
yeah, and I can talk a little bit more about that. So the elevator, after we talked, right now we can use the downstairs space when it was originally assembled, could be used. If we start making renovations to the downstairs area, we have to bring everything up to code for ADA compliance. So one of the things that was requested from Candy was like, how can I get stuff in the basement for like voting and all of that stuff? And I'll kind of shift back to it, but what Strand did is they were like, okay, we have this space and you can use it for a lift essentially that we can put in at any time. So we can make like building renovations, and then if we want to go back and add this at a later date and it's on like stage 2 or 3. And originally when we got the information back, I did talk to Candy. I was like, let's see if maybe we could find grants or something like that so we can get this put in. But essentially the downstairs would not be used by the general public. It'd be storage for voting machines and whatnot. So that's just more of an FYI. But
Yeah, and Candy already had moved some stuff around in the last couple of years in the vault. We'd use it mostly for filing, I guess. I mean, you could probably explain it better than I can.
Yeah, it was used, we had all the departments had files in there. So we took everything out of the vault, and now we store the DS200s and all the Badger book equipment. Everything that's just too big to get downstairs goes into the vault. We are at capacity in that vault already. With the equipment that we have, we're stacking totes too high. Everything else that we can shift downstairs, we shift downstairs.
Yeah, and some of the stuff was at the fire station, so it wasn't very efficient to run back and forth for testing and things like that.
Right. Yep.
If the new machines are centrally stored, do we need that storage then for the new ones?
In the vault, yes, because all the Badger books will stay there.
Okay.
And our totes that have all our peripherals and supplies.
They got a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Almost as much as the library.
so the other thing they did is meet with staff for staff input. Things that were brought up was a lot of the stuff that was echoed in the previous studies too. Improvement of the layout, enhancing safety was a big one. Security after hours, a lot of people use those areas for meetings. But as a result, the entire building is open. So you can't see the front door from when you're sitting, and we have several access points to the basement. People can get down there and you would have no idea. Fix the heating and cooling was something we heard echoed a lot. And then also the leaks in the roof, as if anybody's been in the building and gotten their mail, they can see. So, and we've had several times of kind of rain coming in randomly. So, okay, so essentially what they did is they focus on the public and staff interactions. So like how can we secure the building and have those like almost like a lobby space. HVAC system, aging, and like looking at how we renovate that. And then also the electrical system was, is not great. We're just gonna say it like that. So you can go on to the next slide. Sorry, Nicole Marie. So the access improvements, they included creating a secure space and private area with windows essentially that you would walk up to. Large multi-use conference room so that it could be used for meetings and also for voting, and like still where the public could get to it, so it could be open without staff people there, and the rest of the office would still be secure. And then the next was office space would be standardized to enhance, like basically go from 10 to 14 spaces. And when we were talking with them, we were just like, we know this is going to be an office space. We want the security and then, you know, the most bang for the buck with like the lowest cost possible, like lowest intrusion cost for renovations. So the next slide. So here you can see what they're looking at doing in red is that's it. There's nobody that's colorblind here, right? Like seriously? So that I'm like legitimately asking. So you can see what they've done is they're utilizing like that open tundra space or whatever you want to call it, and essentially going in and blocking off areas with doors, obviously. So you'd walk in and now there's a lobby space there, right? So, and that adds the security. You can still enter a conference room. You still have access to the ADA bathroom, but now people can't just walk back to offices or get down to the basement without staff knowing. So they also went through and started with that study that Brett had done, and then moving on to Strand with more detailed information. They went through and started identifying some pretty critical issues. So like roof, electrical, HVAC systems, and mostly electrical, which we can talk more about some of that here. So we've got the roof system. This is where I was like, if you have questions, I'm gonna lean on Brett, but you can see, anybody that's been in, you can see that there's warping on the walls in certain parts because they have been leaking. The top, you can just see, I don't need to explain, it's failing, it's failed. And I think it was it's over 30 years old, so.
Just got updated quotes.
Yes, yeah, on Monday, which I haven't added, but we can circle back to that too.
Yeah, so we just got updated quotes from the company that did the library roof with the same EPDM roofing system. This is definitely a unique roof because of the circular shape of the building. But there's definitely a need there. And you mentioned the south side of the, basically the staff entrance where the mail is. There's been quite a few leaks there over time. They've been patched and repatched, but it's definitely reached the end of its service life.
And the newest one this year was when everything started to thaw, the back entrance by where the bank comes in and the second bathroom was also raining. So next one is HVAC. So we are seeing that essentially like the heat has another 5 to 10 years on it, but the cooling system is shot. So, and it's the other thing that they're running into that was explained to me is even with some of the stuff, if it's working, if it fails, we have to have the parts specially made at this point. Like they're not making some of the stuff anymore at all. And that's actually like one of the, it was really funny. So the electrical engineer was like giddy because he's never seen some of the stuff that was down here. Like it has, they don't make them anymore. So, and then there's several different electrical panels. At one point in time with our, we have the chargers outside for the cars that I think that we got through a grant. They weren't working, so we had Tracy come over, and then he upgraded some stuff, and then it was shutting all of the electricity off in our offices for a couple weeks because we didn't know why the breaker kept getting tripped. So like that's an example of some of the problems that we're having. Honestly, that kind of scared me when I was reading the electrical on it. I was like, this is not great. So the exterior windows are the same windows that were put in 1960 and 1977. They're failing, although they are still, I don't think they're being implemented to phase 2 on this, but they are needing to be replaced and updated.
Are those windows or anything in that building historic in nature?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I don't believe so.
You're getting to be quite the expert on windows, aren't you?
Whether I like it or not, yeah. No, it's actually, it's really interesting, the process, and Landmarks has been great to work with, you know, and it's important. So, you know, we go through our due diligence anytime we work with an older building. So, and we would do the same here, but I don't think this is a historical building.
It's not on the registry. It's not on the registry. We're fine. We want to replace it and make it look like it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but especially 1950, we don't have the same constraints with like wood windows and the stuff that Brett
So
would
it's not like the Opera House or
we
even
wouldn't
the
have
library?
to do, yeah, like, even if we were trying to bring it into like looking new, like the year that it was built, there was more modern things going on. So, yeah. So if you want to go to the next slide. So to give you an idea, when we're talking about this renovation, the stuff that's dark in here are the new walls. The rest of it is staying in place. This is really important because you're seeing a lot of this cost on this building is coming back to like maintenance that needed to be done. In addition, we're moving that conference room in the front, trying to keep kind of that integrity of like the way the design of the building works, right? And so the circular area is going to become the conference room area that people can use. So like when Landmarks or whatnot are meeting in this building, it's up front, and then the rest of it can be shut off and locked, and they still have access to bathrooms and whatnot. So, you know, out of the space, you can see right now in the back area where some of the committees meet, that area would become 2 new offices. The center part would become offices, And then like where Sue and my building inspector sit, Shar, that area would be the greeting area with like the desks.
Is
So-
the conference room comparable in size to what we currently have?
Oh, it's bigger.
It's bigger?
It's bigger.
Yeah, so that's good to know, because
Yeah.
right now we do have, let's see, we have Landmarks meets there. I've been doing a few community things with like the Scouts.
Yeah.
Has been there once in a while. The Stoughton Community Foundation and groups like that might come in during the business hours. Really don't have a whole lot going on there at night, but we could if it was
That's-
set up appropriately.
So like right now, when we have meetings in that building, there should be a staff person there. Like regardless of who's meeting there, right? Because the building is unsecure, right? So what's nice about this is that in theory, and we could have a locking and unlocking system if somebody was using the building, like that wasn't associated with the city, but utilizing the space.
Like
they
the
had
fire
gone through
station.
approval. Yeah, so that's what, that's really what the end goal was, because it is a little nerve-wracking when you have a meeting there at night, and then you realize all of your people are there, and then you can hear the door opening and shutting,
Yeah, and it gets
you
dark
can't see
out.
it. So, yeah, so,
Yeah, and then, I mean, you've already heard from the library where medium space is a premium. That's the other issue is, at least temporarily, it might help out those folks that are looking for some community space, but, we might have to look at our building policy again, when we get to that point.
so.
Chris, on the conference room, is that going to be like enclosed or
Yeah.
glass around? So when people do have like a meeting, their voices aren't broadcast throughout the building?
Well, and I think we're going to have to get more into when we design it, but, so that
Yeah.
circular area will be enclosed. I think that we're going to have to put some kind of something up on top when we're
There
designing
is some
it,
up
but.
there.
Yeah, I did talk to the architect about this exact thing, but I didn't want to get in too much detail if it turned out we were, we need to get into the nitty-gritty of it, but that is absolutely a concern, but, yeah.
And also, when does the bank lease end?
It's a 5-year lease. I think we're probably 3 years into the second go-around. When did you say we moved into the building, 20?
19?
Thanks.
Okay, so that's
said it.
about when we would have redone the lease with the bank, would have been a 5-year at that point. So, yeah,
So I think it's 2029 that it ends,
okay,
if was 5 years, because I feel like in '24 we did a renewal.
yeah. And then we did get notice today that the chamber found a building to
Oh.
rent, so they're gonna be moving out. So,
Downtown, they're staying?
yeah, the Giggles building.
The which?
Giggles, if you remember
Oh,
the
okay.
Giggles building, yeah. So we're excited for them, and I mean, it's gonna be a little while before they, get furniture and whatnot, but they signed a lease today, just so you know.
Well, I was just thinking if we're gonna pay for our architect, maybe we should have like a future when the bank leaves, so we don't have to revisit
Mhm.
and re-spend money.
So I'm glad that
Good
you brought
point.
that up, because that is actually one of the things that we discussed with the architect, and really right now, so there is a small chunk that we're taking out, but essentially what can happen is if they leave, we can just move into that space the way that it's set up. So I think that we're okay for right now. Like, if for some reason, I don't know, that it's not a huge space, so I don't know that we'd be able to get like more offices necessarily in it. But one of the other things is like right now, like we're all over the place. And I know it's not a big building and we can walk, but sometimes when you're on a phone call and they're asking you questions, to just pop your head out and be like, I need to get the building inspector in here. And I know the same thing with finance. So that's the other thing, is we're trying to do it so that we could be like, okay, we can put these people here, and these people here. So we're kind of all
So you're
centrally.
grouping
Yeah,
like people
yeah.
together as
Yeah.
opposed to.
Yeah,
Plus,
that
we
was
have the
another.
drive-through there as well, and can we utilize that? That would be probably its own
I
conversation.
know, yeah, and I know that there's others of us that really want that drive-through. I'm not.
Yeah, they might have to arm wrestle for that.
Well, Tony and I already figured out what we're gonna use it for.
What are you guys using it for?
Yeah, that'll be the compost drop site.
Oh, great.
Seriously?
Thanks, Tony.
It's awesome.
You think that we're kidding?
Chris,
Thanks.
since we're on the topic of the floor plan, was any consideration given to, I'm sure the IT closet has security. Was there any consideration to adding any security, because it's out still in the public area?
I believe it's locked now, the security closet is, but I didn't even think of that, but it's locked now, I'm sure, so. Okay, so I'll go ahead to the next slide and just kind of explain some of this. So we have the priority. Sorry. Yeah. So we have priority 1, 2, and 3. And then we place those next to it to determine like where we would want that in the process. And then I had also worked with Lisa a lot on this before she had left, so we were determining where those locations were. Part of the reason that there's like 880, I always like suck at saying the actual numbers, but essentially if you look at that architecture, that's essentially for the interior renovation of the building. I added additional cost to that because, like, for example, I think the heat still has another 5 to 10 years, so that was added, but it needs to be taken care of now during the renovations. So
I'd recommend the heating system be taken care of
now,
sooner than later. It's
Yeah.
a boiler system that has some equipment that may not.
was retrofitted.
Yeah, didn't you say the boiler was for like a swimming pool or
It
something?
was for
Basically a
commercial
pool
swimming
heater,
pool.
yeah. So I recommend, if you move forward with this, to keep that in there for this.
Yeah,
phase.
Even if it comes out
so-
of your budget?
Whatever, and wherever he's
Yeah.
come from.
So, and you know, and then here's the other thing is, so what was interesting is that we had the 2 studies, right, done, and they were estimates. So like, for example, the first estimate for the roof under the Anderson estimate was like what? Like, it was expensive. And then Strand came in and they gave an estimate of like 200. And then Brett came in, like Brett just got an estimate in, because like it needs to be replaced. Like if we don't approve it, we're gonna have to do a CIP amendment for the roof. And it was like 150. And that came in on Monday, and I would have put it in the presentation, but there was, you know, that number is tied to a lot of other stuff within the spreadsheet and would shift stuff. So, you know, hopefully stuff comes in under, you just, you know, you don't know.
You all know the history of the
Yeah.
building. So the building was donated to us by the bank. So initially, we didn't have a whole lot invested, although I know you did some improvements, but I don't remember what the price tag was on that.
Yeah, I think over time, it's been a few $100,000 to get the building operational over time, but nothing's free.
No,
Somebody
it's a
says they're gonna give you
fantastic
something.
location for us. I
a
mean,
reason.
it's really worked out well, and for the Opera House too, it's been great.
Good idea. All right, for the roof and are you thinking about putting solar up there as well?
Yes. Yep, so we have numbers for all that stuff.
I
So
would
the-
love to.
The roof system and solar, obviously, there's only so much surface area. However, there is a parking lot available. We can look at opportunities with the parking lot. I know, what's the, off of Jackson, Greenspire.
Greenspire,
They did
yeah.
an awesome project there that I think we can look into. I know they got grants to do
Yeah.
different things like that.
Adrian has some contacts for that. She was pretty involved with that.
Sure, but just, you're looking at that, you just look at the opportunities that they took advantage of, and I think potentially we can do something like that.
Yeah.
A lot of the grants from the federal government, as you know, are no longer available, but that could change over time as well.
Just be careful of the angle of that, if there's any residential around. If there's any residential around with.
For the solar, the glare, yeah.
We can point it towards the Opera House area. It'll be fine.
My question is kind of in line with that. With, you know, roofing, is there any other weatherization that would be needed with needing to update HVAC, are you looking at full electrification? Would there be like a retrofitting of heat pumps? So like normally when you're working toward rooftop solar, you're doing like the weatherization, upgrading electrical panels, and getting those electrical HVAC systems in there. So sounds like some of these needs are packaged in here to be addressed. So are we gonna go all the way, or what's the plan there?
It's a full package to be implemented potentially now or over time. With the electrical, it'll upgrade the electrical so it's current. A lot of this was installed in the 60s and 70s, and as we add modern amenities onto the electrical system within the building, it is tripping breakers.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have the electrical connection for the car charging in the parking lot. That wreaked havoc on the system because it was not built for that back then. So when there's a heavy load on it, cars are charging. There are cars that use that continuously,
Oh, all the
which is great.
time.
It's what it's there for.
It's used all the time.
But when other items in the building are turned on, it has trip breakers. We've had to rework some circuits to make sure it works and doesn't trip, but it needs to be replaced.
I kind of feel like what
I was laughing
Nina was
'cause-
talking about, we might want to have a further conversation with Strand on that.
So, yeah, and they did spec out some
Yep.
different types of, I'm not sure it's a heat pump, but it's a different type of system. We can certainly look into that because I think there is obviously zones within the building and there's different types of.
It was like
Escapes me.
She did a really great job of explaining it, but that was 6 months ago, and so I apologize.
But yeah.
But it
I'm
was,
just
yeah.
curious
Yep.
because, yeah, from an energy efficiency standpoint, if the building is weatherized well, like if windows are replaced, panel upgrades, the whole 9 yards, then you probably could go with a cold climate
Yeah,
pump for cooling and heating.
so when we redo the roof, we take cores too to see what kind of insulation we have currently and if it's sufficient. If it's not sufficient, we'll do insulation as well. To replace any decking that may be deficient or if there's, rotting. So, but the insulation is a big part of the investigation as well.
Yeah. I have the report. I can send you the information. But they were it was interesting. They were kind of almost like individual units so that they could, run them in different.
It's probably
yeah.
like the mini split
Yeah.
setup. Yeah, yeah. So it
Thank
would
you.
be heat pumps. Yeah, perfect. No, that's great. I love to hear that.
And there
yeah.
could be an opportunity to use AI to better make that efficient. So I know
You
there's
weren't
a
here when
potential
Jordan
side.
was complaining.
The AI is
Oh,
right
sorry, let me
here.
turn the microphone on. But I know that, was it slip?
Hey, Jordan.
If it's more efficient for the
you.
city. then-
Yeah,
That'll
yeah.
make you feel better.
I appreciate that.
Did you guys have any more questions? Or, I feel like I did a pretty good job of explaining, like, we are looking at getting a lift. The nice thing is the spot, if you go back up to the picture here, because it was brought up. So if you look, sorry, I'm just standing up right here, but the lift material is right here where the copy room is. So that can be added at any time and not affect anything else. Like, we could do the renovations now or whenever, and then that lift can go in secondarily, and we won't have to reconfigure anything. So we're not tearing out stuff that's good,
And that could be constructed from the east side of the building without going through the vestibule, is that?
Yeah,
Would that be fair?
that was the first, like, I remember having the whole discussion, and she was like, we purposely put it here because, like, we don't have to worry about, like, you guys can renovate the building and not have to tear anything out to put this in. So,
The only question I have when you're looking at this, the reception area is way off to the right,
yeah.
and people walk in and they're gonna not know where to go.
Well-
And so is there any, there'll probably be signage or whatever, but it's that nice reception area that we have now, which is way too big and kind of.
And people are trying to, like, cash checks with us
Right.
a lot.
Right.
So I'm glad you brought that up. So if you look, so when we were talking about, like, smushing everybody together, right? And do you want me to point over here? Because you guys probably can't see this because it's turned. But actually, this right side of the building, right, or left? Oh. I was like, it's gonna fall on me, isn't it? So this portion of the building right here, we were looking at putting finance, and there's actually a window here for when they're collecting taxes during that time of the year. Most likely we'd have an arrow here pointing to the reception desk here. Originally, what we were hoping was to put something or open this area up. This is Nick's office, the zoning administrator, but what's a couple interesting things about it, this is actually solid concrete underneath. There's no basement on this part. So like working underneath it is kind of difficult. We ended up moving the mailroom over here for that reason. So that's why, like, originally we were like gonna push it here, hopefully, but just with the logistics of it and trying to leave as much of the building in place as we could, right? Without ripping out stuff that was good. So we're pushing them here. So we'll actually have, most likely the planning receptionist will be here, and then this will be the clerk's receptionist here. So, with those windows opening. And you're right, we'll have to put arrows, because I could see where it would be confusing.
Oh, you're blocking them all off, so they're not gonna be able to walk around and around.
Yeah.
There's really only one direction they can go.
Yeah, and they still have access here to the ADA bathroom. So this is still open. This will lock up here, the secondary bathroom. When I've worked other places, what we've done is we've put like a emergency button on here in case there is a fire, so you can have the back access. But that would also sound an alarm. So that's what we've done in other locations for like security purposes. So that's just a side note.
And a lot of times with fire alarm systems, you can have that, so that would open those doors automatically. So I'm sure that would be part of the system.
Yeah.
I have a couple questions, and you may have touched on this already, I apologize, but during the renovation phase, is there any thought to interim offices, or will people still be able to work there? And is that built into the cost at all?
Yeah, so they actually had a proposal to do it in 2 phases, so we could shift from one side of the building to the other. Brett has said we can all take his offices. He was really nice about it, but yeah. But that was one of the considerations, was the shifting, or we could, disperse while it's getting done and come back.
For example, the chamber, they have 2 people that are using my office. I've been working mostly at home to help out with the elections and, keep that area sterile for candy and all for, equipment and ballots. So I think there is office space available, at least temporarily, where I think we'll be able to accommodate some things. To what extent?
I mean, if
That's
we
a
have
potential,
to, yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, but
Especially in the summer.
you guys are getting they're getting these nice windows, so it should be fine. It should be fine.
And then the construction contingencies and the contractor fees, that's roughly 1/3 of the cost. Is that standard or generous for what you're building in?
So when, I don't know that 100%, but I will say this, when I am figuring letter of credit, I use very, very similar numbers.
Okay.
So when I saw those on there, I was like, this seems about right. And it gives a little bit of a buffer, so like if we go in and, let's say engineering costs go up or down or whatnot, we have kind of that, a little bit of play, but this is exactly what we use for those, so.
Okay. Great, thank you.
I did like the circular conference room. I thought that had sort of a Thunderdome-ish kind of look to it.
I just wanted to keep kind of the same,
Yep.
we wanted to keep the building like true to itself, but
Well,
make
it's
it
a
more
round
functional.
building, so you gotta have a round room in the center.
I mean-
so it's all good.
You're gonna have every meeting there just for that.
Perfect.
Yeah, great.
So.
I'd like to throw in 12 council members enter.
Thank you.
What did she say?
12 council members enter.
One leaves.
Oh.
I got
So-
Pretty well secured.
Chris, so when you brought these back to all the staff that have offices, they were all okay with this plan going forward? Or was there any, other suggestions or edits that people wanted?
I feel like everybody was, okay with everything.
I think we probably
Yeah.
still have some more conversations.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still fairly early. We don't have anything approved yet.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good point. We want to have buy-in from people. We don't want, everyone to be upset because there's too much commotion going on there.
We did talk, like, that was the first thing we did, was we pulled everybody from staff in that uses this building, and we're like, okay, what do you want? Like, how do we want to achieve this? And then I've tried to be very transparent with this stuff. So, like, when we would get in plans, I'd try to send them out to, I don't know if I sent them in, I know I would have sent it to you and been like, please share with staff. Like, so
It's been a while.
yeah, but I tried to keep everybody involved. I don't like surprises either, right? So. Okay. I'm gonna,
All right. That's it? You're done?
family in town, so. yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, yes. Next is Parks.
Who's going next?
That's are in town.
Tony or Brett? Who's going next?
That's me.
It's you?
Yep.
All right. Give her a moment to cue it up. So you're doing Parks and Rec, or just,
It's the Parks and Rec CIP, yeah.
okay.
Oh.
Sure.
No, I'm good, okay.
All right.
All right. So Parks and Rec CIP, this is for 2027 to 2031, obviously. I will say that for the most part, a lot of this presentation will focus more on the 2027 portion of the CIP, but if you have questions on any of the other parts, please let me know. I've kind of found that in the past, a lot of the CIP with my stuff, because a lot of it's developer dependent, a lot of things seem to shift on a yearly basis on this. So again, I do focus kind of mainly on 2027, but there's some other things in here as well. So I will say before I get started here, these projects focus on maintaining existing assets, improving connectivity and accessibility, and preparing the park system for future growth. And most of these projects directly implement priorities that are from our comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. So with that, we'll go to the next slide. So the first few items here are actually parkland development funds. So these are funds that are paid for through park impact fees for different sites, so not necessarily borrowing. First up, we have our Tigan Farms Park land restoration. This is a 5-year restoration plan. We are now in year 4 of this. So this year, let me move quick over here. This year, the scope of work will include oak savanna restoration and shortgrass prairie strip management. Will include invasive species mowing and broadleaf weed management. And then one other part that we've recently added to this is dredging of the Tigan Pond. We actually put in a fountain system to kind of keep that water moving, because there's a lot of, it's stagnant water we found in the past, and so a lot of algae growth out there. And so we put in a solar paneled fountain. It's doing a great job, but there was only one location we could put it that the water was deep enough. It's supposed to be like a 9-foot deep pond, and the deepest we could find was, what, 2 feet, I believe?
Is that natural, or what is that pond?
It's natural, but there's a lot of, it's an old farm site, so there's a lot of old farm equipment in there, and a lot of just stuff in there that needs to be pulled out and dredged out.
It is spring fed as well,
Yep.
but now it's also part of the stormwater system. So not only parkland development funds, but we may need to look at even stormwater funds potentially to offset some of those. You can use more in the parks for
Yep.
your parkland development funds. So there's some opportunity there potentially.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any questions before I move on to the next part? Or do you just want me to keep going and then question at the end?
It's a
I got
5-year
bunch.
plan, and then there's warranty on top of that?
There's not warranty on top of it. Nope, it's a
Nope.
this is just a 5-year contracted plan with Premier Prairie and Wetland.
Okay.
Yep.
You could get some museum pieces if you dredge out that pond, though.
You sure could. I mean, we've seen some amazing old bottles already and stuff that
Oh,
are just from putting in the prairie and taking out some of the old material.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Sculpture opportunities.
Yeah. All right. Next up, and again, this is all still park impact fee stuff. Stoughton Trailer Community Park, so mass grading. We are looking to establish the base grades for future soccer fields, trails, roads, utilities, stormwater, and other amenities. And part of this is specifically the soccer fields. It's like a 1 to 2 year grow-in program. So we do want to get ahead of this and get the park graded out. Doing this earthwork will help reduce future construction costs, and it advances, as I have here, that goal number 8, which is promoting a larger neighborhood and community parks. So the sooner we can get those soccer fields growing, as we start raising funds for this park and start phasing it in, that'll be one of the first things where we can kind of be on top of it as those funds come in and get that concession area put in, so we can start using those soccer fields right away.
How's the soil there?
It's a great question.
Soil.
How's the soil?
Don't know
Yeah,
yet, but
don't
that'll be
know yet,
all
yeah.
part of the deal. I'll also add to that, Trailers Way is hopefully slated to go in at some point. So this will be in conjunction with the build out of the roadway. And if they need to do any cutting, they can use that material to do any fill work that needs to happen.
Yep.
So that all be coinciding with each other in 2027, which is important.
Yeah.
So the mass grading also, because part of that plan has that berm,
Yes.
so
Yeah,
you'll be creating that berm as well?
I did speak with MSA about that. They originally were not thinking that, but I said, hey, we would like that berm included in this. So yes, they're going to make that adjustment.
So what's the purpose of the
The
berm?
berm, because
If you,
that circular green space, and Patrick, you can,
it's right in this location.
yeah.
Okay.
If we have concerts or anything, it's actually seating area, but also for the soccer fields, people can sit up on the grass
Oh,
area
okay.
and look down as opposed to just on the sidelines.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
I mean, I think they kind of have that for the softball field over at the high school.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah, the hill, yes.
And they
using the
really
hill.
enjoy that, you
Right.
know, because they don't really have a lot of bleachers. They just sit on the hill, kind of like over at gazebo.
Yep,
Same thing.
yep. Similar, or Mallard's game, they have
Yeah.
that outfield kind of hill you can sit
Yeah.
on. Yep,
Kids can roll down it,
there you go. Yep.
or adults.
Yeah, so engineering is starting on this. So they have begun working on this, so that's moving forward, and yeah, we should have this ready to start spring if approved. Actually, it's using, again, park impact fees though, just want to reiterate.
Yeah, it seems like one of the challenges is everybody's pushing to do things sooner than later, but we don't always have the funding. And I don't know if there's any strategies that we can come up with that will help us to that end. You know, because you don't want to get too far over your skis if you haven't collected the money, but yet you want to be able to utilize your park.
Right, and I think with starting this mass grading, the soccer fields, regardless of, it would be nice to obviously have the concession area and the restrooms, but if we have the soccer fields in a year or two and we're not quite there fundraising wise, we can always make do with, porta-johns or something to make those fields still usable in some capacity.
Yeah, I kind of feel like if there's any amenities that create revenue, maybe we could start with some of them,
Yeah,
you know, if that's going to help pay for some other things.
definitely, yep.
Will these soccer fields are they going to be certified to certain levels that we would be able to draw in like different levels of tournaments to them?
Yep, that's kind of the idea. So, like 5 full-size soccer fields, but they can also be used for different age groups, and you can get like, I think it's like 10 if you go a different length, vertical versus horizontal.
Maurice, our person.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
Sorry, I'm the treasurer of the soccer
Yep.
club. I should disclose that.
Yes.
But yeah, she's all over it. which is good. I mean, it's nice to have multiple people looking at it.
Yep. Okay. All right. Sort of kind of playing off this and still, again, off of park impact fees, we have the North Loop Trail. So this goes from the STI development to Lincoln Ave. And so kind of the goal here is engineering in 2027 and then construction in 2028. This will improve bicycle and pedestrian connectivity between STI and Lincoln Ave. And it kind of, the goal eventually is to get connected all the way out to Viking County Park. So this is part of that next step of trail connectivity to get us there. So eventually this could connect to Marie Drive, and as developments come in that area, which I know there's already been discussions on those developments, we get closer and closer. It will also eventually connect to the Lower Yahar River Trail as that comes down, what was that, Williams? Glacier Moraine, is that what it is? Oh, we don't know exactly how that's coming down yet. 100%.
That's the county trail?
The county trail.
Oh,
The county trail I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah. So we have a 10-foot wide multi-use trail on Glacier Moraine.
Yes.
to connect to.
Yep. And then this is kind of working in partnership with Lakeview Free Church as well. So I've been in discussion with them a couple years ago. I've restarted up those discussions, so I'll be meeting with them soon to kind of go over this project. But as the last time we talked, they were all on board for this.
I like that that's the sidewalk that's next to the retirement community. That always seemed like a silly sidewalk that just kind of went to nowhere. So it's nice to see that it's going to connect to something.
Right. Yep, I agree. Yeah, and it'll be a nice access point too for the kids at the school to get down to that STI development, take a safe trail instead of.
So is that gonna someday, you think, connect the potential roundabout at Country Club Road as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So there'd be a trail network through the park, and then there is slated to be a 10-foot wide multi-use trail on Trailers Way that'll connect to the roundabout at Country Club Road. Jordan and I have actually already talked about that and potentially having a connection into the Veterans Memorial.
that'd be
So there's a nice connectivity that's going to be happening over the next few years.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the next one. So now these are the capital projects, and then if you wanna, yep. So first up here, we have some of the I just kind of named them miscellaneous. But the first one here is our sport court maintenance. So we had two courts that we identified that were in need of some repair. We had tried some repairs with some other options in the past, and the results were the one on the left that was after repair. And so we found they were cracking right away the next year. So we did find a company out of Nebraska, and last year we got approval for the racetrack park court. So you can see the after. So they did a great job. Court's reusable again, there's no cracks. So that's what we're also looking to do at Lowell Park. That's the other one. If you go out to Lowell and walk on that basketball court, you see what we're talking about, but you can fit your fist in those cracks. So we need to repair that one next. So that's the first one here. And then second, we are looking to do dugouts at racetrack. This is part of slowly phasing in that master plan that we have out at racetrack. We did put in some concrete pads this year. We had some major flooding every time it rained out at those fields, so they were unplayable for like 3 days after it rained. And that we found that, hey, if we just put in some concrete pads, that kind of shores that up. And then we did those with the idea that eventually we could put dugouts right on top of that with surface mounts. So looking to do dugouts at racetrack. They're kind of your standard, like caged, see-through, nothing fancy kind of dugouts, but they'll allow for a lot more play, keeping kids cool when it's hot out, and then allowing them to play if it's a soft rain kind of thing. So, all right, moving on. All right, so our ADA transition plan, we are on, what year are we on with this? This might be like year 4, I believe. but we had a study done where they went through all of our park facilities, and it was determined where we had some ADA deficiencies. So we literally have like a book like this that we're slowly checking off every year. So this just kind of continues those repairs and corrections. So some of the things we're looking at this year, accessible parking at new and existing parks, accessible routes on existing parts, slope corrections, and ADA signage. It kind of breaks down what each of those are for. Again, this is kind of an incremental implementation of that city's accessibility needs, and it supports Goal 5 of the Core Plan. And I guess this photo, I mean, you can see there's no ADA accessibility to that park, to that playground. So these are the kind of things we're trying to show around.
No trail.
Right. Not yet. It's coming. All right. Next, I have Norse Park shelter replacement. This one's been on here a couple times. This shelter.
Couple times.
It has been on here a couple
Been on there
times.
for at least 10 years, I think.
It has been 10 years? A few times.
How long's that been on there, Regina?
Yeah, the shelter, it's, well, I tried finding when this shelter was built. I don't know if anyone knows, but I know like the neighborhood was like 1976. So
I want to say that, you know, maybe Kendall McBroom and that group built it back in the day.
Okay.
I think it might have been some volunteerism that went on there at that point, and they were going to rebuild it, but to make it to code is going to be a real challenge with volunteers, we found out.
Right, right. So kind of the idea with this was, one thing we were finding is when going with engineers and shelters, what I've recently found is they kind of go with very specific designs and requirements for what's used. And I don't know why that is, but it makes for a very expensive shelter. And so what we're looking to do here is just get separate architects to come up with something and then give them kind of the direction of, hey, make this so a local builder can bid on this versus all these big companies. And so that's the idea with what we did with this. I know it still has a $500,000 tag on it. I don't think that's what it'll end up coming in at because of the way we went, but to be safe and looking at what our other shelters have cost, that's kind of the price tag.
Yeah.
So again, I'm confident it'll be lower, and we may be able to get some. The nice thing with this too is we may be able to get some donations from local builders or time donated, and that's kind of some of the things we're going to be looking for with this shelter. But for the meantime, this is what we have, and this will really make this. It is a year-round shelter right now, but the warming house, for instance, I mean, we put in like a mobile, like it's got a heating system, but we've had to repair that a number of times already. And then it's just like pull down wooden garage doors that really don't even seal up tight. This shelter here will be much nicer, usable, and it'll be rentable throughout the
I
year.
asked them to look to see if we could put in like an electric with a solar on the roof, something like that.
And we could.
Yeah, any surface area, there's always opportunity to do that, so.
Yep.
Yeah, especially for the warming house and stuff to offset some of the cost.
Right.
Yep.
I can't remember if we decided on, like, I thought we had like a metal roof too, so it'd
Yep,
be
it
like.
is. Yep, you're right. Yep.
Yeah, in the Santoni or whatever you call it.
Oh, the
Zamboni.
Yeah, the Tony Boney.
Tony Boney.
The Tony Boney, yes. We have one of those, handmade Zamboni for the ice rink. So it's pretty sweet. Found it figured out how to do it on YouTube, and the guys put one together. It should work great.
I'll say that based on the design, because of course we've seen some of those.
Right.
There's a park in La Crosse that I was at for a family reunion this summer, Wygant Park, and they did something similar, a little bit bigger, a lot bigger price tag, but it is really nice. And summer kids programs use it.
Yep.
It's very, very, very useful.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're looking for, is this would be a space that we can use for our programming year-round, because we don't really have much of that at all. And so
Those
that.
parks, I mean, they're used every day by
Yep.
a lot of the day camps use our parks for their
Oh, yeah.
programs. I mean, every day I see somebody over at Norris Park. I don't know if they have a regular rotation or what they're doing there, but they're busy.
And I will say, like, Norris Park is beautiful. There's just one sore thumb, like right there. Everything else is great there. You got the new playground, the concessions look great.
Yeah.
We got new ice rink facility out there that we can put up in the winter now, so it's coming along. All right, moving to the next. All right, so next up we have Bjorn Park Playground Replacement. This was based off of the court plan. They kind of went through and looked at all of our playgrounds and kind of gave us a schedule of when stuff needed to be replaced. So I'll let you know, like, there's another park playground replacement in 2028. There's another one in 2029. It's kind of like one each year is what we're kind of looking to do. But all of these playgrounds, I mean, Bjorn Park specifically, we had some weather create some issues where trees fell on parts of it, and we've had to remove pieces of this playground already. So it's already less than what it was. And so, yeah, this one is due for an upgrade along with like the construction that's going on now. Kind of a good time while everything's already under construction to quick sneak this in and shore it up with the end of that construction at the same time.
Yeah, I had a request the other day. It was an adult, and this person's like, you know, I like to take my kids there, but there's nothing for an adult to do while the kids are playing. So I told him I would at least bring it up. I don't know if you've been talking about that at the committee meetings or if
Sure.
it's in any of the master plans.
And we haven't gotten into discussion for the playground yet, but that would be definitely something we visit before we decide on what we're doing with that park and what we bring in. Did they have any ideas? I'd love to know.
You know, I think they were talking about maybe some exercise stuff or,
Okay.
I mean,
That
Yeah.
wants kind of exercise things.
And I will say that is part of the Stoughton Trailer Community Park Master Plan.
Okay.
But something in the downtown area too, I know.
it's
would be-
just so tough. And, you know, my explanation is usually we have focus groups or surveys, and sometimes it's before, you know, the neighborhood's really developed, so we don't know what the neighbors really want. And we're doing the best we can by going to events and trying to gather feedback, but it's not a perfect science.
Right.
I know you guys make a good effort.
Mhm. Yep. Okay, moving on. All right, and then finally, I have the Yahara River Park project. So this is continuing on. This is, we had initially got this approved last year to start this year, but with permitting delays, we find ourselves starting now this year. And with delays, the prices increase, so we have an additional amount needed to get us to the final phase of this project in 2027. So we are looking for an additional $538,000 that will get us to the finish line of this project. This phase, yes. Thank you for the clarification. This project supports multiple corp goals: park quality, pedestrian connectivity, water recreation, regional draw, and strategic investment in park facilities. And again, this is one that, let me move just forward here on mine, that we, again, got approved last year, and unfortunately, due to delays, the price keeps increasing. So if you want to go to the next slide, I can kind of show you where we're, yeah, so this phase is in the turquoise color, if you will. We have already gone out to bid on this, and RG Houston is the planned contractor for this project. And now we're in the phase of like meeting with, next phase is kind of meeting with the DNR, going over means and methods of the project, and the schedule of the project, so. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you remind me again, or Brett, I know that there's some remediation that needs to be done, and is that part of this contract, or is that part, I think we Parks was in charge of everything in the
Yep.
water, right?
In the water and a portion of that teardrop.
It's that teardrop.
So there is $800,000 or so
Yep.
that is used from the remediation funds that were approved. So this is also taking dollars that we think that'll be spent in '27 versus '26, which was important. Right?
Yeah, when we did the debt issue this summer, we kind of downsized the debt for what was actually going to get completed in 2026 versus what was going to get completed in '27. So this is the portion of the project that we had not delayed, but would not get completed till 2027, so that we weren't borrowing for costs that we weren't going to incur until later and paying
Essentially
interest
get
on it.
invoices in '27 for a certain portion of the project, and that was estimated to be that 538,000.
Right.
Ish.
When can this start? Do we have to wait till 2027?
Nope.
Or we're
It's-
doing
it's,
now,
You
right?
guys approved it, I think a month ago or so. So RG Houston is a parent low bidder. Like Tony mentioned, you had conversations with them today, plus the engineers.
Do you have a pre-con scheduled yet?
Not yet, but you guys, they're gonna put together means and methods,
Yep.
because the DNR has to approve that. And then we're gonna have a joint meeting, joint pre-con with RG Houston, who has the River Park project, and also Fisher, who has the Wagon Works and Sixth Street project, which also involves remediation. So that we have a good team put together
Yeah.
to put this together, because there's gonna be some overlap in the remediation efforts, and we're to stockpile to then eventually remove off-site. So none of the contaminated material is gonna stay on-site. It's all being taken off-site to an approved landfill. So contrary to Tuesday's comments, it'll be taken off-site.
Sort of
Yeah.
like why.
Is that on the
why
record?
That was the other
asked
part that was
question.
misinformation. There were two things, weren't there?
Yeah,
At least two.
The dam is not wide open, that's number one. And all contaminated material that is encountered will be hauled off-site and not shifted around on the site to create amenities within the river walk area. So everything is gonna be taken off-site and disposed of properly.
And just so we're, and I know this and you know this, but when you're, especially in the Mill Pond area, that's kind of, you contain it, remove it, and then contain it some more, right?
Right.
So it's not moving downstream.
Yeah, so when that next phase eventually happens, if it is permitted, the mill pond, when that is exposed, it'll be capped. So nothing will be dredged, which can release sediment, which none of us want, because that does go downstream. And that's precisely why it's going to be capped versus removed.
Yeah.
And there'll be cofferdams set up with this phase of construction to contain that material. There's already permits have to be in place for sanitary sewer, actually.
There was an option to reuse some of it, wasn't there, but you chose not to?
We rejected it because we don't want that. We don't have,
Right.
we want the material to be removed and disposed of properly.
Yep.
We don't want it on the site, especially being this close to the river. It made absolutely no sense to reuse that material on site. And especially in 40, 50 years, if they decide to do something different with the site or have to put new infrastructure in, who knows what's going to be like then. We don't want them to encounter that.
That was my follow-up, is what, if it was gonna have to be cofferdammed in order to get the material out.
Won't be long now.
Yeah. All right, so just kind of in closing, kind of the overall theme is investing in Stoughton's future while taking care of what we already have. That's kind of what we're looking to continue to do here, and again, kind of working with that court plan. That's been a great guide for, I think, all of us, and now we have with the city's court plan we're working on and reviewing. I think that's a great strategy, and we'll continue moving forward.
Yeah, and I would just say that, I mean, you've done a great job, but so has the committee.
Yeah.
Because we went through, a fairly substantial transition, and to be able to keep the balls in the air and keep a project of this magnitude going is no easy task. So congratulations to you and the Park and Rec Committee.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
I had a question for you. After the presentation, there's some of the white page budgets, and some of them weren't in the presentation. And the one I just have particular question on, just given what we just went through are the security camera upgrades.
Yes.
Can you speak to that and what is being upgraded and
Yeah.
what type of cameras they are?
Yeah, great question. So originally, we got notified from our IT that we needed to upgrade our shelter cameras. And so originally it was a 3-year kind of phase-in. It was like, I think like 2,300 a year or something. I can't remember the exact number. But then we had discussions at our Park and Rec Committee level where it was, with the camera stuff going on right now, it was, hey, we need to know more about these cameras before implementing any cameras in the shelters. So let's put it all in one bucket and move it out to 2028, where we have more information about, what we can do in this city and what people are comfortable with and what the committee's comfortable with, and then make a decision then if we need to upgrade our cameras or not. So we've kind of put it off from 2027 to
Okay.
have time to figure out how this is going to look in the future.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, before we move forward, I think, like Tony says, we really want to know the contract, where this data is stored, who has access to the data, similar things. And, that's for like all the buildings too. I think people are starting, because of the whole issue with the flock cameras, now they're seeing all these other cameras like in here. What is, who has access to it?
And what's the purpose?
Yeah, what's the purpose and who has access to it? I mean, I see it in the parks if there's vandalism, but it shouldn't be sold to other communities. It should be stayed
Yeah, and
in-house.
I guess I'd add that, kind of I think where it popped up is we had a couple incidents at a park and then at our youth center. And right now it's all storage. And so it only stores for like a day or two. That's what we could afford. So it was planned for these new cameras, they would be cloud-based. And like Regina kind of said, we don't know who has access to that. So again, that's kind of where like, let's push it out and figure this out a little more.
You're going to see even today, some of the companies are changing policies as we speak to try to address the issue because they're losing business over it. So they're not going to sit there and do nothing. Now, will that be enough to satisfy us? That's a question that you guys will all have to answer. But we're seeing some movement on some of the policies from the manufacturers already.
And I think once CACP starts digging into that'll start to develop what the plan can be moving forward, so.
Great.
All right, next up is Public Works.
I just have a few short slides to go through.
I'm going to escape. I know there's 40 slides.
You're out of here?
Yep.
Thank you.
So again, there is 40-some slides, but we can go through them pretty quickly, a lot of pictures and things like that. But we're going to talk about street and stormwater construction, equipment purchasing, and then facility capital improvement projects. Next slide, please. We'll start out with our road construction capital projects. And next slide. So how do we select roadways? So a little bit earlier we talked about the PACER ratings. So it's actually should be PASER, so I apologize. But anyways, every 2 years we do a PACER rating. And that's how we evaluate our asphalt roadways, which are the majority of our roads except for Highway 51. So again, all these bullet points are different criteria that we look at when we program our roadways. We look at the type of roadway, is it a residential or a collector, traffic volumes, which there is actually a website that you can check out that looks at the average daily travel. Planned underground work with utilities, that is a huge portion of our work to program these roadways, is what utilities need underground versus what we need on the surface. Then DOT planned work, of course, which you've all seen last year, this year, then into 2029. Next slide. So the PACER rating, like I touched on, it's basically a 1 to a 10 rating system. Is actually developed by the University of Wisconsin to rate asphalt roadways. So we do have a manual that we follow to make sure that we're consistent with our road ratings. We do have 2 individuals within our department that typically rate the roads. We do create that consistency. So if you go to the next page. Then we capture all the data on that, and then it goes into the Whistler program, which is through the DOT. And basically, we get a map that we can take from that data that helps us to plan for roadways. Like I said, that's an every 2 year. It's basically an odd year study that we do internally, and then have to submit that to the state. To get any funding from the state, we have to complete that.
Brett, having seen these maps, these are fantastically useful. In fact, I was looking for one a couple of weeks ago, but so you probably have enough longitudinal data on these. You could probably put them into a little movie and show the progress.
You know, with the AI out there these days, we can probably capture that. So, and that's a little bit of a joke, but we are working, so with our GIS technicians now, we are working with them to layer the different years so we can see the progress we've been making. Like on a map like this, green is good, red is bad. So you can kind of see the transition over time that more roadways are becoming green versus bright red. I think if you would look over the past 10 years, you would notice a story, if you will. I kind of wish we would have captured that every year. But going forward, we talked about that very thing.
Yeah. Just a quick one, it's a little bit off topic, but do we have a pacer rating or a point system for like our park maintenance?
Parking lots
I
and
should ask Tony that.
So parking lots and trails, we have a pacer rating, so anything with asphalt.
How about the equipment?
No, I think that's more a depreciation, so that, every playground has some of a useful life.
Okay.
Every different amenity within the park would have a different useful
I
life.
just didn't know how you evaluated that. But,
Yeah. I mean, we're doing a much better job of capturing that information as an asset within GIS. So if you go into the parks maps, you can click on an asset within the parks, and it'll bring up basically a catalog of what that asset functions as. There's actually links within that to book a rental. So we're trying to make that forward-facing and more user-friendly. There's some things in the back end that we use that's not forward-facing. We're certainly making more things forward-facing for the public to utilize.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
What's the purple on that slide? I don't see that on the color code.
Yeah, city boundary.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take, next year, I'll take that off. There's extra lines.
It just shows you all those weird islands that we got.
Right, yeah, it's actually is nice to see that, because there is some islands within the city that, are kind of odd. And again, we work with our township partners on a lot of those things, like this year on Racetrack Road, working through that, so we have a lot of good partnerships in that way.
I think showing the year-to-year improvement in here to get that out for public view, because, we do spend a lot of dollars on getting the roads up to shape, but
Yep.
they would be able to definitely see that in graphical format of,
Right.
here's where your dollars are going.
That's a great segue to the state aids for roadways in the next slide. So we talked about our GTA. The estimates, and thanks to Nicole Marie, she put this together, estimated at $1.146 million next year that we'll be getting back from the state because of the investment that you guys have made into the roadways. Our connecting highway, which is from Chalet to Roby Road, we get $105,000 from the state to maintain that. So $1.242 million we get back from the state to maintain our roadways or to put back into our infrastructure.
Any talk about them extending that out to Roby or to B or whatever?
Yeah, we've asked about B. At this point, they're not interested in that.
We're not, or they're not?
They are not. We would certainly be, because we already have to maintain all the sidewalks and the lighting system,
Yeah.
all the mowing.
All the
throughout
hard
that,
stuff, huh?
All this, yeah, exactly. So, but that's part of the maintenance agreement that we had to sign with them before construction, or else they wouldn't have put sidewalks in some of the green spaces or the lighting system that we wanted to have out there. I would think as that area starts to develop, it would probably be more ripe for a connecting highway.
Okay.
So again, there's two different formulas. The state would give us whatever is the most advantageous to the city. So there is the rate per mile, which is $2,734 per mile, or share of cost. Since we are investing in our roadways, it's more advantageous for us to go with that route when it comes to the formulas. So the next slide shows over time how much we've gotten back from the state because of the 6-year average, or the amount of work that we've done over time, the investment that the council's made in our roadways. So in 2015, for example, we got back $526,000, and then 2027 we're estimated to get back $1.14 million.
Is there a multiplier built into that formula?
No, unfortunately, that's one of the things that I think the state can improve on, is to up that over time.
Yeah, so we should be lobbying for that?
Yeah, to be
Okay.
appreciated.
All right, that's a good one.
So the next few slides are just the different types of construction that we do. So the first one is a pretty simple mill and overlay. If you look at Page Street, South Page from Oak to Milwaukee Street, we're doing a mill and overlay right now, or a mill and fill, if you will. And that's just milling out the asphalt and putting new asphalt in. Typically, those are pretty quick processes. If we didn't have rain the last few days, this would have been a 2-week process to get done. It's going to extend into next week, most likely, with the rain, but that just is what it is. So typically, those are pretty quick. Full depth pulverization, so that gives us the opportunity to grind up the asphalt and then reshape our roads. A lot of the roads in Stoughton are pretty flat, so that'll allow us to create a crown on the roadways to get the water off the road. Water is the biggest killer of asphalt, so that allows us to build a crown up and then shore up the base material as well. And we actually own our own pulverizer, so we have the opportunity to do some things on our own. And then road reconstruction, which we've had a lot of that. The Beyond Park neighborhood, for example, like we talked about earlier, that's a full reconstruction. And a lot of those are partnerships with Stoughton Utilities to do all the underground, plus the curb and gutter, install new sidewalks, and then, of course, the roadway surface.
With some of these reconstruction types on the roads, you're able to reuse a lot of these materials, right?
When appropriate. Unfortunately, with
yeah.
like a reconstruction, we do soil borings to make sure we know what we're getting ourselves into. We have to, what we call undercut, and take a lot of the poor material out and put new road base in. But you guys ever heard that song, It's All About the Base? That's when it comes to roadways. I'm not going to sing it for you, but that's really what it is all about, is making sure that base is where it needs to be. And reconstructions, we do what we call a proof roll to make sure we take any soft spots out. So we basically took a fully loaded quad axle dump truck, put it on the grade after the asphalt's removed and some of the base material is removed, and see if we need soft spots.
Seen what's happened over the years when we didn't do that.
Yeah. No, we are probably spend more in undercutting than maybe most, because again, I truly believe it's all about the base and leaving a good product for the future so that they can come back and do a pretty simple mill and overlay that's much more cost effective than doing a full reconstruct. So we even look at using geofabrics, because when you put that base material, the rock, 3-inch rock down, if you don't put a layer of fabric in between the rock and a lot of clay in this area, that clay will start to push up and start to migrate to the surface, and all of a sudden now you got clay at the surface. So we're doing a lot of work right now to make sure that the base is where it needs to be. All right, getting to the 2027 projects, and we're going to highlight the 2027 projects. Obviously, we have a 5-year plan. Now hearing that we want to spend $6 to $8 million, maybe we can adjust that plan a little bit. But the caveat too is 2031 was intentionally left a little bit light in case we had to move some things around. But it sounds like we may be okay. So, but anyway, so this year we'll step through these individually. But I will say Page Street, Broadway, Stoughton Avenue, Summit. Are all in East Randolph, are all grouped together, so we'll talk about those as a whole. But Again, here's the list that we have, and we'll step through these individually. Sorry about the photo, they didn't come out too well. So Hildebrandt, so this is up near, actually that should be Van Buren, Smeedle to Van Buren. So that road is in dire need of a pulverization. So essentially there's a lip on the curb and gutter. You'll see a photo soon here. But it's the pavement quality is terrible. Significant roadway deterioration. Talked about that lip. Right now it has a pacer rating of 3 and declining. The estimated cost to redo that road with some improvements for a sidewalk as well. There's no sidewalk there, so we'll look to add sidewalk where appropriate, and that'll we'll make sure we incorporate that into the design and bring that to the Public Works Committee to see if it's appropriate. But we're looking to add sidewalk into this block as well. So looking at a cost of $419,000.
Is there a way to track our sidewalk usage? I mean, I just, looking out my window, I swear that there's more traffic on the sidewalks than I've ever seen.
Yeah, I feel like the more opportunities you provide for sidewalk and sidewalk connectivity, the more apt people will use them. You know, it's always, you know, you can notice on this roadway in the top left, you know, there is no sidewalk, so if somebody wants to go for a walk, they're in the road.
Yeah, well, and then I've seen some where there isn't any sidewalks and people are with, you know, some challenges are on the road where they shouldn't be.
Yep.
Which is really scares me.
And sometimes they get stuck there because if there is any grade
Yeah.
or the driveway aprons aren't conducive to navigating those.
So, I mean, I'm all for it where it makes sense, at least one side of the road.
Yep, so we're gonna look to do that. And I think people are more apt to go along with that now that the council did get rid of assessments, special assessments for sidewalks. So I think that's gone a long ways in the
Those
community,
meetings
to
are
be
going a
honest.
lot smoother, aren't they?
Yeah, it's all of a sudden everybody wants sidewalks, so it's. Yeah.
Well, I'd be a little mad if I had to pay for a sidewalk and the guy across the street didn't have to pay for the
Yep.
sidewalk.
Yep, I'd 100% agree with that. Now it's, well, how come I gotta shovel it and this person doesn't? So yeah, so that's that one. Then here's some photos. Oh, I think Nicole, you had them up there. But so I just wanted to point out that, you know, that the bottom right picture is that lip I was talking about, and that's prevalent throughout the whole the roadway and into people's driveways. So we have ramped them right now, but obviously that's just a short-term fix. Next slide. So this one is the Stoughton Avenue Neighborhood Project Phase 1. So this involves a small portion. This is just south of Milwaukee Street. So this is a joint project with us and Stoughton Utilities. This one's been a long time in the making, I would say, and definitely needed. So this is involves Page Street, Broadway, Stoughton Avenue, Summit, and East Randolph. So this is essentially a 2-year project. Again, on the screen is just Phase 1, which is we're looking to do that in 2027. So this involves a full reconstruction, all water, sanitary, some stormwater improvements.
That one gonna affect the parade route?
I don't think so. I think we can work around that with, you know, Milwaukee Street kind of
Page.
being, so Page Street south of Milwaukee.
Right, well, that's kind of what because it goes South Page to Milwaukee over to Mant.
Right, so we should be south of Milwaukee Street.
Okay.
So that should be fine. And also, when we have our pre-cons or look at our construction timelines, we also always look at setting them eye and the parades and
It
different
gets
things.
tough because we can't hardly start anything till after school, and then it's
Yep.
setting them eye, and
Yep.
and then it shortens that window, and then people are wondering why we have all these streets tore up at the same
Yeah.
time.
So there's certain sequencing that we can do within this. You know, we're not going to tear everything up at one time. So maybe it's starting with Summit and working our way out. So there's different things, and a lot of it has to do with the grade or when sanitary sewer underground work has to be done in relation to the roadway. But I think we'll be safe with the
Okay.
parade route. So again, poor paving quality, significant roadway deterioration. I feel like a broken record on that, but that's what's happening with a lot of these. Underground utility replacement, Pacer rating of 2 in a lot of places. There is some 3s in here, but most of it's a 2, which is terrible.
So that's for our Pacer, or is that for utilities?
Our Pacer.
Do they do anything
Pacer has some grading criteria.
for utilities?
Yes. Yep, so they grade out their utilities.
Okay.
And then we actually, years ago, when Jill was here, we took that and made it kind of an aggregate of, okay, ours are a 2, they have a rating of X, and then we add those together, and it's like golf, the low score wins type of thing.
We're gonna do that for library books too.
Yeah. You to grade every single one of them.
We had some 1s and 2s.
Sure. Sure. So as you can recognize, there's a lot of roadway in here, and we're projecting this at almost $1.8 million on the street side and just shy of $200,000 on the stormwater side. Next slide shows the 2-year build out of this project. So red is phase 1 in 2027, and phase 2 is 2028. So again, funding wise, we thought we wanted to break it apart, and also for logistics to get in and out of the neighborhood, we didn't want to have everything tore up at one time as well. And then the next slide just shows some pictures of the roadway, just common deterioration of the roads. Obviously, you can't see what's subsurface, but Stoughton Utilities, this has been on their radar to be replaced from a sanitary and water systems system, for years now. The next one is North Street and Forest Street. Again, this is another joint project. We actually had North Street slated for reconstruction a couple of years ago, and so did Stoughton Utilities. Unfortunately, the street side, the bids came back favorable. On the utility side, the water was almost double what they had expected. So we chose not to do that project. It was rejected, and we put it back in the CIP for 2027 to also incorporate Forest Street, which utilities recognize a need there. So that would be a 2027 project to do North Street and Forest Street as a collective.
That's over by the middle school?
Correct. Yep, so going up the hill on North Street is horrible. So we wanted to do that years ago, but it just did not come
Well, and
back.
then they had construction going on too.
They had their
and-
construction,
Yeah.
correct. So 2027 is, if approved, a good year to get that one done. So on the street side, we're looking at about $470,000, and then the stormwater, $172,000, and that's both roadways. Here's some pictures of the on North Street from Forest looking to the west down the hill. A patchwork of patches going down the hill.
Just alligatoring and everything else.
It's,
huh?
it's terrible. So, again, it's a full reconstruction, all new curb and gutter, new sidewalks, everything leading up into the school. And then the next one is Williams Drive. This is a small section of roadway that is just to the north of Highway B. That's actually city-owned. The town of Pleasant Springs is doing a larger project that they got a grant for, and so they asked us if we would participate in that just with our portion. So of course we want to be good partners, and so we're looking at doing a $28,000 portion of that. They would let that project. We would just be partners with them.
Do we need an agreement for that one?
We would, but obviously this is the first step, and
Sure.
it'd be probably much like what we did with Dunkirk, except
Okay.
they would be the lead on it, or their engineers. So we
All right.
would certainly do something like that.
And they would start their project in 27.
Yes, it's a 2027 project. Yes. And there's just some of the deficiencies on Williams Drive. This is kind of by Oak Knoll.
Gets a lot of usage,
It does.
big
Yep.
trucks.
Yep.
Especially when they go the wrong way.
Yeah.
Turn around.
Yep.
I won't belabor that, but. Then the next one, this has been a legacy project, and it was actually, if you'd recognize, it was actually in the 26 CIP. We're looking to move that into 2027 with some additional costs that we've actually had to take on. This bridge has been, since like 2018, I think we've kind of been looking to replace it or making fixes to it. It's a joint project with Stoughton Utilities as well. So this is also Main Page Court is part of this, but we moved Main Page Court into 2028 strategically to align with Stoughton Utilities because they have found some pretty significant underground issues that they need to work through. Also in 2028, ahead of the 2029 DOT project downtown, these water system upgrades need to be made. And so we look to move that Main Page Court into 2028. However, we're going to complete the design here this year, actually. We have we're going to be sending letters out soon to the neighborhood to have a neighborhood meeting on the 31st of August to go through our preliminary designs just to get their input. But we're looking at doing the bridge portion in 27 and then the roadway in 28. Again, it's become more complicated than first envisioned because of some of the underground work. We've run into some right-of-way issues that we need to work through and probably acquire some right-of-way. So we're also asking our budget to leave the dollars that are currently slated for Main Page Court, leave those in the budget because we may need that for some potential acquisitions. But looking in 28 to do the roadway, but 27 to do the Jefferson Street pedestrian bridge.
I thought you already had some of the acquisitions. I mean, I thought
Yep.
to create the parking, the correct amount of parking spaces, because this has a bigger footprint than the original bridge. I
Yep.
thought that was all taken care of. It wasn't?
We acquired one parcel so
Okay.
far. In the other, there's 3 other parcels. However, those were to the, I wish I had a graphic on that one. So those were to the north side of the pedestrian bridge. So we're looking at going south of the pedestrian bridge. There's actually right-of-way, a lack of right-of-way. There's
On
no.
on
to
the Water
south.
Street Tavern side?
No, on the Main Page Court side to the south.
Okay.
So where Jefferson Street comes down the hill, to the south of that, if you can picture that.
Okay.
You can put up Google Maps too, but, so there's some, there's parcels that connect and there's no right-of-way to get to them. So we're looking at connecting or creating some right-of-way access to parcels and also a means of turning around. There's no way to turn around. And we have a lot of deliveries, like that's just the nature of the beast these days. And there's been trucks that have kind of been stuck down there. So we're going to create a series of hammerheads so trucks can do a Y-turn safely and get out of there and go forward out onto Main Street versus backing onto Main Street, which we've seen. So there's going to be a lot of surface improvements that we want the support of the neighborhood for. We've already engaged with some of the folks that we potentially need some right-of-way from. Good engagement. We want their input ahead of time so that we have the buy-in from them. They have to live down there. So we want the buy-in from them before we move forward with any sort of acquisitions. So that's the first step, is have that public meeting on the 31st. I shouldn't say the first step is get all the design work, the line work done, and propose it to the neighborhood, get some feedback from them, go back to the design table and make sure we shore that up, and then put it into the construction phases.
I think one of the questions you have to address too is once that work is being done, can they all park across the bridge? Because that is packed in there. There's no way that you're gonna be able to get any road equipment in there if there's vehicles in there.
Yeah, so during the construction phases, the construction crews are gonna have to work with the residents and do it in, there's only so much access into there. We've talked about access onto Jefferson. I'm cautious about that because underneath the Jefferson Street, the hill that goes to from Main Page Court to Page Street on Jefferson, there's a box culvert underneath that that's less than a foot under the grade, and so you want to support heavy loads. It's not enough cover, so we're very cautious about doing that, and is that appropriate or not? So the engineers will look at that, look at the box culvert, look at the makeup of it, make sure it can support, a fire truck, essentially. Emergency access is a big part of all this as well. This is the smallest project, but it's probably one of the more difficult ones we've had to undertake.
Very interesting little neighborhood. I mean,
It's got character.
it's really cool back there, but it was like, it's a hidden,
Yeah.
interesting neighborhood.
It is, and we're looking to just enhance that kind of neighborhood feel, and then obviously create that pedestrian corridor with the bridge to get out of there safely. But then also, and again, we don't take taking land lightly. We want to work with them to make sure that we got support from the neighborhood to make these improvements, and the property owners. We've engaged with them over the past year to really talk about it, get some input initially from them. Good engagement. I think they all recognize that something has to be done, especially when you show them the DCI map that shows the right-of-way or lack thereof. Like, oh my God, I didn't know I was driving on private property to get out of here. That's what's happening.
Well, I mean, like you said, it's the emergency equipment trying to get in there and turn around that is a big.
Yeah, yeah. And vehicles seem to not be getting smaller, so.
Because you don't want them driving across your bridge.
No, we'll have a series of bollards and things like that in place to prevent that or discourage that. So,
Did it? Guys still did it.
yeah. Then the Roby storm sewer swale. So this is not a roadway. This is a stormwater project. So this is a greenway that goes from Page Street to Roby. So this conveys water from this corridor through the swale system. And so this needs to be essentially regraded and redone because we have some sediment that's collected over time. So this is just part of the stormwater maintenance program.
This is a wet pond?
No, this is a swale.
Oh, a
So-
swale.
Yep, so just a waterway, if you will. It's relatively flat, so a lot of the sediment drops out, unfortunately.
There's nothing you can do to re-engineer it.
Gravity sucks, I mean.
Yeah.
So, it's
That's an engineering.
it's a term that yeah. But, the other option is to hard pipe it, but to go that distance, you're going to talk about 5 times, 6 times that cost.
Sure.
So it's one of those things, it's more of a maintenance thing. Over time, some of the homeowners have taken some liberties into that swale and planted some things that they shouldn't have that are more like a
Now
tree.
you have to have those
So
conversations as
those are going to be
well,
the
huh?
hard conversations.
Yeah.
So, but again, they planted some things on public property that they shouldn't have years ago. A lot of it was to potentially gain some yard and some screening. So, again, taking some of that screening down that's in the public way is a tough conversation, but again, they shouldn't have been there. Some of those trees that are in the way caused this to happen because we couldn't adequately maintain it.
Oh,
So if you can't get through there and maintain those areas, the sediment drops off over time and fills them in, and now here we sit. So,
I'm happy to see it on this year. This is right in my backyard, so.
oh, sure, so you've seen what's
I
going on.
know,
Does that
I
make
have
you a
seen,
NIMBY?
yes.
Yeah, what kind of tree did you plant, Brad?
I put a big willow tree in there, so
Which I'm sure you know the trees I'm talking about.
I know
there's-
which ones they are.
There's some large pine trees and things like that. And again, we want to be respectful of people's screening, but,
hey, you don't want to upset them alders.
yeah.
That's right. I'll be standing out there. No, it's good. I have seen the sediment build up, even up like to the north end of it is where
Right.
it has been. And then it's even gotten to the point where it's starting to fill in down to my way, and I'm about halfway down the whole swale.
How long you guys been there?
'07, almost 20 years.
So, yeah, it's probably changed a little bit.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is, over time, people, they have grass clippings and garden debris, and they tend to try to put that in there. We do try to
Camera's done.
nip that in the bud, and Sue, Eddie's done a great job of trying to work with people and educate them that, hey, don't fill this in, because when we do have a heavy rain event, you're gonna want that to perform. So here's a picture looking from Roby to the north. Just doesn't do it justice, to be honest, but it's been filled in and it really does not drain the way it's supposed to. And then our asphalt overlay program, so we do ask for some dollars that we can do some in-house work with our pulverizer, or hire a mill to do some mill and overlay work. So like Page Street from Milwaukee to Oak, that's part of those dollars this year that we've used to do some surface replacements. So we're looking at doing some roadways that are not like a full reconstruct, but to give them a surface when they need it. These are mostly roadways that Stoughton Utilities doesn't have a stake in, so that we can do just surface treatments versus underground, but still making a good roadway and prolong that reconstruction, or move that reconstruction out. This year we've done Eisenhower, Truman, and Roosevelt, so we're doing all those, a full depth mill and overlay on those. So again, just trying to utilize these dollars to get a surface on and forego those reconstructions. Here's some Christensen Way. So we did this last year. So these are ones we do in-house for the most part. So we keep the cost down and try to stretch those dollars as much as possible. So a lot of it is undercut material or base material, and then asphalt.
Yeah, it was nice to get that one done, because it wasn't a large project, but I know the neighbors really were passionate about getting it done somehow, some way.
Yeah, and that's where we have the ability now to kind of do a lot of that stuff in-house. So it has paid dividends to be able to do that with our own staff, our own schedules, and cost-wise, it's obviously much cheaper for us to do it. We're just very cognizant of how we structure our schedules around these types of works. We also have our other core projects we need to keep going, our storm sewer cleaning and our sweeping. Those things still have to be going on. So we've staffed up for it, we've got equipment for it, so we're prepared to do more and more in-house.
When you catch up on those streets, then you can contract out to the other cities surrounding and then do their.
I don't think we'll ever catch up. It's a vicious cycle, Brad. We just keep going around and around.
Yeah.
I will say the asphalt mixes are much better than in the past. So they're years ago, some of the mixes were a little bit harder, or more interstate mixes, and so you see a lot more alligatoring because of that. And we've got a good mix now with our asphalt, so we keep it going. Also, we do our crack filling program, which we'll talk about in a few slides. That really pays dividends, and that has to do with keeping the water out of the base material, because it is all about the base. Sidewalk replacement program, again, this is an annual program that we need to keep up with. So right now we're in the northwest quadrant of the city, if you will, or I shouldn't say quadrant because there's more than four, but the northwest portion of the city. Right now, actually the sidewalk program is going to start the end of or the beginning of September. End of August. I'm sorry. Be done in the beginning of September. But each year we take a portion of the city and replace sidewalks that are defective or not complying with ADA, curb ramps, and the like. This is an annual ask to keep moving through the city systematically to replace sidewalks.
Is your tree program, is that a CIP or is that an operational
That's
request?
operational.
Okay.
So that brings us to the roadway preventive maintenance program. So a lot of that, or the lion's share of that, is our crack filling program. So we do crack fill all the roadways that are basically a 5 to 8-ish, somewhere in there. So every 2 years, we go back to that street, because a lot of places, they will crack fill that roadway and then they won't touch it again. Well, you can crack fill it, and then 2 or 3 years later, it's gonna crack again. So we do touch-ups, basically. That's really paid dividends for us. A lot of other communities have modeled their program after ours. So that's one thing that we need to keep up on to essentially move out that curve, the life expectancy curve of the roadways. So that's really paid dividends for us. Yes, it is. It's a biodegradable toilet paper. So they use that so that if somebody were to walk on it or drive on it, it's not going to stick to their shoes or their tire. When it is tacky, it can be ripped out. So yes, it is toilet paper. We asked that question. It is, yeah. If there's a better alternative, I'd be all ears. I mean, it is what it is, but still, you know, whenever I see kind of paper floating out there, like, you know, I wish there was a better way. But it is kind of like a biodegradable, you know, but it's paper, so toilet paper. I'm not sure how many ply. Yeah, but it is what it is on that. So these funds we also use for our patching material. Our patcher, we actually sold that at auction because the patcher we had, they no longer made parts for it. It's very. We disclosed it, absolutely, because we are very transparent when it comes to equipment like that. We disclosed all of that at auction. Why we sold it, they called us. We told them exactly why. Essentially, we have a pump in there that's like $13,000. We actually had in the CIP to be replaced, and we can't get it. It comes from overseas. They don't even make it anymore. So we have a refurbished pump in there. If that dies, it's the heartbeat to the whole machine, and we felt that we need to part ways with it now before we ended up with a machine that was not operational. So we did sell it to a company out of Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, disclosed all that to them, and they thought they may have had a workaround with it, but we couldn't take that risk. So we sold it while it was still operational so we can get some revenue for it, and we're going to be having ask in the next year in 2028 for a new machine. So right now we're working with like the Farners, who does our crack filling, that have a machine that they'll do X amount for a certain amount of dollars. They'll come to town and do some things. It's not real cost effective, to be honest, and we lose some latitude to do our own patches. Equipment replacement, you talked about depreciation, so we do have a schedule with all of our equipment, all of our pieces, so this kind of taps into that. We do score our equipment as well. There's a scoring sheet. So the patrol truck body upfitting, this is actually one of those things that you guys have already approved, but we're looking to approve again to execute in 27. So the chassis were purchased in 2026, one in 2025. That's still waiting for the body upfit. So we do have 3 trucks that'll be going into Burke Truck. We've got confirmation it will be going to them the tail end of this year into the early part of 2027, and will be complete in 2027. So that's why this ask is in 27. So we estimate these trucks for a useful life of 20 years. They used to be 15. We're putting components on them to extend the life of these trucks. These trucks are definitely not getting any cheaper, so we're trying to do everything we can to extend the life of the trucks. We're looking at getting a 24,000-pound trailer that will haul. We have a person lift that we've purchased to take care of all the facilities in the city. That will accommodate for that, plus our roller that we've purchased used to do our own roadway work. So this trailer will accommodate for all those pieces of equipment to haul them around the city. safely. Then we have this relic. This is a 1978 John Deere grader. We're looking to replace this with a used unit. This it's been great. However, it's time to give it a fifth life somewhere else. So this does not give us the grade that we need when we do our roadways. We talked about the crown earlier. It'll give us the crown. However, it's all eyeballing it. So they're kind of taking a look and making sure it's close, I think. So this does not currently perform how we're intending to use it. It's definitely served its useful life. We've reprogrammed it multiple years, pushed it out, obviously many times. Now it's time to move on this one. Fleet tire changer. This is more of a safety thing within our fleet department. So we're looking at, we do all of our in-house tire changing. Most things are done in-house. This is just one of those pieces of equipment to do it safely and efficiently. It can no longer be repaired. The technician said, you guys need to replace this. It cannot be repaired anymore. L28 loader, and I'll speak on Tony's behalf. This is really more in the parks division. As you know, as we start to grow and add more multi-use paths, we need to have equipment to maintain it. So we have tool cats, plus we would like to add this to our inventory to maintain as little as a 5-foot sidewalk all the way up to our 10-foot wide paths. This will definitely allow us to do that more efficiently. Right now, some of these 5-foot wide sidewalks, they're using snow blowers or shovels, which is fine until you start to grow. And all of a sudden, you can't get it done in a timely manner, or we have a work comp injury. So to be honest, a $65,000 price tag, you have one work comp injury would account for that. So I'd recommend you approve something like this to not only make us more efficient, but to hopefully forego any potential work comp injuries. Yeah, sure. Sure. Yeah. I will tell you, a lot of this equipment is fun for the first hour. And then it becomes sort of monotonous. But Ford Transit cargo, we're looking at getting a nice used. We wouldn't move forward with any purchases unless we vetted it out. This is to replace we call it van number 34. Van 34 was actually a repurposed van from the planning department years ago. It's starting to rust out, and we're looking at getting a more streamlined van as well to fit with. We use this to maintain our parks shelters. So this van has toilet paper, not for crack filling, but for actually use, and then all the other cleaning amenities. So we're looking at replacing this with a used vehicle. We've kind of done some research, and we feel comfortable with that $35,000 or less. New, these are $50-some thousand, and we can't justify that, but we can find a nice used Ford Transit or something like that on the market. Facilities. Again, this is working with a lot of the other department heads, but the fire station, they are looking at installing a pressure washer in the truck bay, and again, that's to maintain the equipment, getting the salt off in the winter months. They do a nice job of taking care of their vehicles. This just aids in that and hopefully prolongs the useful life of their equipment as well. Replace obsolete HVAC controls. We've been doing that systematically throughout the different buildings to make them more efficient. I know there's some different options with slipline, streamline, or slipstream. So we're looking into some potential, this is no joke, it's an AI type of thing. We're looking at some potential opportunities with that. This could be a test bed, but we'll look more into that.
That email just came in the last couple of days, so things are still.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at you, Adrian, because you're on the email. You might not have read it yet.
I was just copied on the email. I don't know much about it,
Sure.
but it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do our due diligence on it, and again, nothing's free, so we just want to make sure we're checking references and making sure that, we can look at opportunities, and, maybe it is something that allows us to be more efficient, so we'll look into it.
But it's nice that they at least thought of us.
Yeah, it's through WPPI, correct? Our rep. I think it came from our WPPI rep.
Did it?
I think so.
Could've. And we've done stuff with Slipstream in the past with our building studies. They're a nonprofit. But, we went to a lot of their meetings and helped initiate some of their initiatives. And, so they think of us, which is good. I mean, that's what you want. That's why you build those relationships.
Yeah, for sure. We want to do our due diligence, and they had some references that we'll check into and just make sure it's a good fit, and
Yeah, if not now, maybe later on it will be.
sure, and, sometimes being the tip of the spear isn't always the best. It's sometimes waiting to let other people work out the kinks, but if the price is right, then.
And I'm the most probably hesitant about AI-enabled or powered anything.
Mhm.
So I would have some reservations, but it's
Yep.
an interesting, I don't know, opportunity potentially to
Well, if we
explore.
get a chance to look at it, let us know if you think
Yeah, I don't joke about the AI, obviously it's at sort of its infancy, but growing exponentially, and we just want to be careful with how we use any of it. Even in the office, we're very careful how we use it. I sent you an email today, actually, about the PowerPoint presentation that we had from our stormwater management plan, and it was generated by so HR, yeah. But so there is some, obviously, AI is something that we, could be a tool, but we're very careful with it.
Yeah, not all the tools get the job done.
No, yeah, right. So it's
More work checking to make sure that the AI was correct
It-
than just doing it
and
yourself.
just doing it. Yeah, you're right. So we're cautious of it, and so when that type of stuff comes or falls in our lap, we want to do our due diligence to make sure it's a good fit before we move forward with it. Obviously, having anything AI take control is it's a reason for caution or a reason for pause. So
No agents,
yeah,
none.
sure, and again, everything it sounds nice and rosy until it's not. So we'll be very cautious about it.
Till a drone is hovering over your house and you don't know why.
Yeah, exactly. It's scary. City Hall solar. So to couple with Chris's presentation, we'd look to do solar on the roof at City Hall. I think we'd like to explore more solar here to capture more of a percentage of the use, which would involve probably going into potentially the parking lot. Greenspire, I think it's inspirational what they did there, and it's really a neat project that I think.
Payback was good on that one, too. I don't know if it wasn't quite as good on this one, was it?
Oh, none of the paybacks are anymore because there's no federal incentives. So, that's just the reality of where it's at right now. And so I think Greenspire got a lot of grants to do it, so their ROI, their payback is going to be great. So, but again, that's the reality of where it is, and that's where you get a choice if you want to move forward with it. Yeah, the ROI, I don't think, 16.2 years. Yep.
Well, and Greenspire doesn't have any limits for how much power they can produce, whereas through our purchasing agreement with our,
Yeah. We can't be a generator, because then we
Correct.
become another utility.
yeah, so then our benefits aren't
Right.
as much as a private.
Right, I think they try to plan for that 80%. Obviously, the roof, they'd look at the roof surface and see what's appropriate for solar. There's I just kind of look at the aerial, I'm like, what if there's more opportunity to the covered area for the drive-through? Anyway, but, so this is one of those projects we're looking at moving forward with after the roof is put on in 2027, if approved by the council.
Yeah, who knows, maybe by then some of the incentives will be back.
By 2027? 2028 or after, maybe, yeah. In reality, I just, just being honest with where we're at. But again, that'd be a choice for you guys if you, want to go ahead with the way it is now, or.
I mean, there's still value, obviously, for doing that. We
Oh.
want to save the planet.
Oh, 100%. And, the thing is, if you did wait, the price always goes up, and you're hoping that there's some incentives there in the future, but that's not always a guarantee. So,
Right, and I think one of the other ideas is lowering operating costs.
sure.
Right.
So I don't know how much operating costs would be lowered, but.
Yeah, there's calculations in here.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
We're starting to see some of that when Marie goes through these quarterly reports that I mentioned. And when we get into the budget, we can maybe highlight some of those buildings that we've already done.
On this slide, is the comma in the wrong spot, or is there?
It's not. Oh, yeah. It's 2,800, unfortunately, not 28,000. Yeah. Extra zero. The comma's in the right spot, extra zero. Yeah. If it was AI, maybe it would have been correct.
So,
Or maybe not, I don't know.
we're still negotiating.
Next slide, public safety building. So this is a hefty price tag for the fire alarm system. Unfortunately, we do have to look to replace that. The fire inspector has flagged it, essentially, that we have to do something.
On this building?
Yes. Yes. So. Yeah, so it's, and again, here's just some of the pictures of some of the old equipment versus what a new piece of equipment looks
Yeah.
like, and, it's one of those things that, when we look at the buildings, there is a real cost to maintain these buildings and harboring buildings, so, when you start to really dive into, operational buildings, gets very expensive. Jim can attest to that.
Anything that you can do with thermostat in his room? I mean, we've been dealing with this for so long.
It's starting to get hot now.
We're hot, we're freezing.
Oh, you're freezing on that side. You warm over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're warm over here.
You're gonna have to move over here, but there's a lot of hot air over here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's very inconsistent in here.
It is, either you're freezing or you're.
It's all or nothing, right?
Yeah.
The
So
AC blares in the middle of winter. It makes no sense.
Really
Yes.
Yeah.
interesting.
It's very weird.
I could,
Haven't you noticed we're all wearing our winter coats in this
Yeah.
meeting?
well,
It's like,
I feel great over here. It's nice and warm, but,
I've heard it kick on a couple times since
yeah.
during the meeting.
But I could talk to Tracy, maybe it's a controls type of thing, and,
Use AI to
get
fix
down
it.
and-
Yeah. It's even more local. Lisa's usually freezing, and I'm usually almost dying of heat.
Sure,
So,
yeah.
Anyways.
yeah. Well, it's also where the vents, yes, it's where the vents are placed,
fine.
and,
Leave me.
and the, I'm not sure what this system's like, but if it has like a VFD type of thing, if it's, on or off, or if it can ramp up or ramp down, so we can look into what that looks like. But, again, looking at buildings and, the future of buildings, how much do you want to spend in them now versus, prolonged maintenance, so.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where they end up on the utilities building. They're looking at some options there as well, as far as energy efficiencies.
Yep. Yeah, they have some space out there as well to do some potentially different things. Are they looking at like geothermal and
Yeah,
stuff like that?
yep.
Next slide. Oh my God, are we done?
We're there?
Look at that.
Except, sorry, I have kind of an annoying question
Yeah.
at this point in the night. I was just curious about the Pacer scoring. There are several roads with a 0 rating. Are we prioritizing 2s and 3s because they are matched up with utility projects or other
Yeah.
types of?
So there's a few with zeros, and I think those are off of Jefferson Street, I believe. It's like a dead end.
I don't know about that one. The one I'm thinking of is Vernon Street from Veterans Road West. It looks
Zero?
like it's a zero.
I don't think, let's double
And
check
it's
that
in
out.
really rough shape.
Yeah, so.
And my only other thought about that, just to put it on your radar, maybe
She's
for
got
the
it up there now.
future. It's a 1 or a 0 at least.
Yeah, it's probably a 1. I don't think we have any zeros. One's terrible, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, well, and I would say I noticed this spring or last spring, there's some major stormwater issues too. I probably should have just emailed you about that. But, so anyway, was just curious kind of how those are prioritized when there are 0s and 1s.
Yeah.
But then 2s and 3s are getting activity, but
So.
it seemed like there were some
Yeah,
utility project
so
hearings.
very much so that the utility doesn't drive it. It truly is a
So
collaboration.
that makes sense, yeah.
Because we have some roads that were early on in our schedule that, when we talk with them, they have some priorities that are underground that are like major priorities as well. People don't see what's going on underground, which is the tough part, but that carries a lot of weight as well when it comes to water infrastructure and obviously sanitary. So that's why we're looking to put dollars at $275,000 into the asphalt overlay program so that we can do those surface. So what I'll do is we have a list of roadways we want to put in there. Vernon is one of them because it's alligator by the school as well, right?
Yeah, it's basically by the VFW and
Yes.
and the school, that section.
That is on the list.
There's
too.
some interesting water patterns too.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
took a video. I won't say whether I was driving my vehicle at the
Yeah.
time or not.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, but by all means, share those with me because those are things that we certainly use to
Sure.
see what we can do to move it up on the list. And I'll admit there is more roadways out there than we can get to in an efficient manner, to be quite honest. So we need to prioritize, and Vernon is certainly one that should be prioritized by the school. And if there's stormwater considerations, we should certainly look to fix those. I will tell you, Vernon is on our list to get that done. There's some other areas that we moved out of the, I shouldn't say out of the 5-year, but we moved up, kind of by the high school. So those are ones that we can maybe move up into our schedule to do some different things with through the asphalt overlay program. Because that's the trade-off, is that we push and pull things around, especially with Adam coming on board. We sat down with them and we reprioritized, and to the good. I mean, there are some good things that he brought to the table, obviously, but we had to shift some things around. Maybe if Nicole Marie says, "Hey, spend more," okay, we can certainly do that, and we can move some things.
That's
up.
not what my comment earlier.
That's the only note I have is spend more. I'm joking, but there is certainly a need out there, and that's not lost on us to get
No,
as
it
much
makes
done
sense.
as.
I just wanted to make sure that I was sort of, taking
Yeah.
away the right information from.
I think the colors are a little bit misleading. There shouldn't be any zeros. And again, don't get me wrong, 1 might as well be a 0. It's just terrible. Yeah, I don't think that map does it justice, to be honest. But Vernon, I'd probably put that in a 2 somewhere in there. There's a lot of alligatoring. But I wonder if I can get you a better picture. Anyway, but the short answer to your question is the ones that are 1s or 2s are certainly on our radar to get done sooner than later. Looking at traffic volumes, Vernon is certainly the top of should be the top of the list because of all the school traffic in there.
You got some natural speed bumps and.
Yeah, so it's not terribly bumpy. It's alligatored. It's broken up. But some of those roads there definitely have a natural speed bump. So when we do install the valley gutters, so those do act as a bump, if
They
you
work
will,
good.
a reverse speed bump. but they are effective.
They move water too.
They move water and keep water off the asphalt surface and put it on the concrete.
I mean, that's what gets us is the water, right?
Yes. Yep. So we try to capture all that water, at least on the concrete valley gutter or in the curb line. So
There's a lot of areas in the city that back in the day, they didn't put in, I don't know what the code or standard was back then, but
very little. Yep. So they didn't put a whole lot of, before the 90s, there was very little stormwater, put in. There was not, hardly any requirements to do so. So a lot of, things that, we've learned over time on how not to do stormwater, but you really know what you know at the time. That's natural. So I think we've gotten a lot better, but we're working with some areas that didn't have subsurface.
some legacy.
Some legacy stuff and trying to make it work and adding it when appropriate. Obviously, to add storm sewer everywhere is too costly, and just we can do it other ways. So, but yeah, the short answer is those roads are on our radar. We do have a list that we'd like to tackle, and I think Vernon could be even one of those that we do pulverize, reshape it because it is relatively flat. It's a wide street that we can from Christie Lane to Veterans.
Is there a pond back there?
Yes, behind Christie.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep, that's kind of where that some that talk of some different type of housing back there. That's
Right.
that same area.
Yeah.
So, while we're talking about it, we have internally been talking about East Side Initiative to put together a program to tackle some roads on the east side. I know some folks that we've talked to feel like they've been left behind, which is certainly not the intention and not the case. But we certainly look to enhance some more roadways on the east side over time as well.
We did quite a bit there during the lead pipe initiative.
Yep. So we have done a lot of work on the east side. I think it's just there's some areas that need attention, but they also need underground attention, which again people don't realize that there's underground things that need to be done, and we need to wait for our SU partners because again they have a full load of infrastructure replace over time, but we don't want to do surface work and then all of a sudden 10 years later, 8 years later, the water and sanitary is due as well. So we are partnering with them. We've talked about our east side initiative that we'd like to move into the east side and get some of those areas taken care of around the hospital. We've had discussions with the hospital, Dwayne with the hospital on some
Yeah,
of
they're
those
going to be
things.
doing some more work there. They're talking about putting in a parking structure.
Oh,
So we want to couple our work with their work, so we're not stepping on each other, but
On the east side,
I just want to make it very apparent that, we are paying attention to them. It's just, it's got to be a systematic approach to it before we do rework, and we're doing work twice. Yep.
and it's that springtime that always gets you, because that's when you get the freeze and thaw, and
Yep.
that's when everything heaves on it, so.
And this year is supposed to be El Nino, a heavy El Nino year, so we may get more of that icing type or more freeze thaw type.
Sweet.
So, or
Good
Indian
stuff.
summer, I don't, something like that, so. And we talked about salt. And sometimes people think, oh, it's gonna be warmer. Well, warmer is like 33 degrees or 31 degrees, which is not great for us, because that means ice. And a lot more chlorides potentially introduced in the environment. So I'd rather have, 8 inches of snow versus a quarter inch of ice, so. Anyway.
Thanks for sticking around, Jim.
Oh, yeah, no problem. This is fascinating.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Learned a few things, did you?
Yeah, I did, yeah. Well, I just I'm gonna make sure there's nothing about the library comes up. Just kidding.
Yeah, we wait until you're gone before we
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about that.
We'll come, no.
But, I mean, seems like the road work we did on 4th Street worked out pretty good for you.
Yeah, that was really well done. The contractor did a great job on that, from our point of view, on the 4th Street construction.
Should I bring up now that they have to do some repairs in front of the library. So that transition from the asphalt to the concrete, there's a lip there.
Okay.
So that's going to be mill and filled within hopefully a day. But
This
I was
year?
going to talk to you about that,
Oh, okay.
Jim.
This year?
I'm glad I stuck around then.
Yes, yeah, but, yeah, so it, yes, it has to be redone under warranty, then we're gonna make them do it. So there is a lip there if you notice it when you leave here tonight, if you go on Forest Street towards, Main, there's a lip,
So
so,
you have to block off those parking spots.
yes, yep. So we'll give you notice and we'll work through that, but, we're trying, there's a lot of
Are
lanes
you gonna do
closed
that
here.
in-house, or the contractor's gonna do it under warranty?
Contractors, yeah, absolutely, they're gonna do it under warranty.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not paying for it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't block the entrance at all?
No, nope, all on the roadway. It's gonna block the road. To do it efficiently, we're gonna block the roadway, have them come in, mill it, fill it, and be done. But it's gotta be done under warranty. I don't wanna pay for it.
Are there any
so-
days where you're gonna be closed for in-service or anything?
Yeah, there's a couple. I mean,
September
you
5th.
don't wanna-
Jump in on you, no, it's okay.
No, in October, there's a couple, but, no, well, one in-service day. We'll talk.
Okay, yeah.
Always
John, did you
something.
have one other
There is.
question? All right.
Good thing you stuck around.
Yeah, I learned something today.
All right, does anybody have any other questions on presentations that were given tonight?
Yeah. Anything you'd like to see differently for the next one, or was everything okay for you? I mean, it's a lot of information, we know, but we try to give you, as much as you can handle or want. Yes?
I don't know if this is something we'd need to see in CIP, but, and I didn't bring it with me tonight, but in one of the League of Wisconsin Municipalities magazines recently, they had a kind of an infographic of a dollar bill that was broken up between the municipal tax, the school district, the county, and it kind of broke up what the overall tax bill would look like. So I'm wondering if later on in the budget process, if it would, be feasible to put something like,
Sure.
not an infographic.
Sure.
but maybe just
No,
a pie
the
chart.
dollar bill infographic, when I went to the Government Accountants Association conference, and was like the joke that everybody has it in their budget. We actually don't have it in our budget book, but we can put it in our budget
Well-
book, or as part of our presentation at least.
I came away from the process last year thinking okay, next year I want to ask for a breakdown, and then this graphic landed.
Yeah, it is a good graphic. That's
I
why
was like,
just about
that's
everybody has it
great.
in their budget book, so I think that's something great to add.
Okay.
And some of them are putting out something similar to that with the property tax bills.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is, so that we kind of know what the impact on the taxpayer will be.
Right.
Because I remember feeling really good about our budget last year,
Mhm.
but then the impact people felt sometimes maybe was a little different. And
Yeah.
it's because there are so many different things.
A
your
lot of it
property
has to
tax
do with
bill
home values or things
Mm-hmm.
that we don't control, and it's an opportunity for us to help educate
But I feel like
and listen too.
seeing that would help people understand how many things.
I feel like the city gets to blame too, because the
Yes.
bill comes from the city,
Mhm.
but it's, there's a lot of different stakeholders, obviously, the school district,
Mhm.
the county, and the tech schools.
Right?
And just out of curiosity too, I think it would be really good
Sure.
information to have.
Yeah.
Brenda, you want to add something?
If anybody wants to call me at work, I will be happy to chat someplace.
You hear that?
What? If anyone wants to call me at work, I will be happy to chat with you about this topic.
That's what Brenda does.
Oh,
I'm a supervisor of equalization for the Madison District.
okay. Sounds
There you go.
So call me at work.
And she's on the finance committee.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, anything else that you think we could improve on, or, whatever, just let us know. We're not gonna take it personally unless you want us to.
Yeah, or if anybody has any further questions while you're re-reviewing this over the next week. So if you have any other questions, make sure to make those known. Otherwise,
Yeah.
we
Thank you,
have-
Nicole Marie.
I would like people to call my family and apologize that I wasn't gazebo music tonight.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. It's all good.
The Packers win?
We have no other questions or business, and I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn until next Thursday at 6 PM.
Correct.
Second.
Any other questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
Aye.
thank you, everybody.